Martial arts. It decides your fate as well as your life and death. The weak is humiliated while the strong looks down on the world. Martial arts. It decides your fate as well as your life and death. The weak is humiliated while the strong looks down on the world. Martial spirit. The innate talent of the people in the continent is considered as the warrior's soul. It can be said that the achievements of a warrior is closely linked to their martial spirit. There are numerous types of martial spirit. Nature spirits such as fire, ice, hurricanes, lighting, etc. Weapon spirits such as knives, guns, swords and halberd. Beast spirits such as the white tiger, the crazy rhinoceros, the violent ape and the dragon snake. In addition, there are also many powerful soul spirits such as the immortal spirit. The martial spirit, it will evolve and increases its strength with its master's cultivation. The city of Yangzhou, Lin family mansion. Lin Feng opened his eyes and stared at the ancient and unrefined room. In this strange yet familiar room, his eyes revealed a hint of bitter frustration. To think that I survived. Lin Feng whispered in his heart. At that moment, his bitter smile vanished and a hint of a smile appears on the corner of his mouth. That's right. He was originally a senior student from Huaxia Jiangnan School. However, due to a car accident, Lin Feng crossed over to another world and ended up possessing a junior that shares his name. Lin Feng felt somewhat depressed, but it was not due to the face that he crossed over to another world. On Earth, he was an orphan and was single-handedly brought up by his grandfather. One day, after seeing Lin Feng's college admission notice, his grandfather finally felt relieved and died due to overworking. He left Lin Feng enough money in his bank to pay for his college. This amount of money can be considered a fortune in the village. And for his grandfather to save up this last bit of inheritance for Lin Feng, he neglected his health. Lin Feng studied very hard in college and would always get best scholarship. He wanted to rely on his own effort to change his fate, to fulfill his grandfather's wish. But Lin Feng gradually understood that no matter how hard he worked and how much effort he put in, it means nothing in this era where your parents' influence plays an important role. During his senior year internship, a cocktail party was held in one of the hotels. During the party, a wealthy second-generation kid made a female student that in turn with him drunk. After that, people started to silently leave. Understanding what was happening, Lin Feng went to stop him. In the end, his 4 years of effort came to naught. He was expelled from school on the grounds of indecent assault on his female schoolmate. In fact, the evidence was irrefutable as the female identified him personally. His kind-hearted actions bite him in the end. He was sued by the female he helped as well as the wealthy kid. With both witnesses and evidences there, Lin Feng, who has neither money nor influence, was unable to fight against the lawsuit. His fate at that point of time was already sealed. Sentenced to jail for 8 to 10 years, he was completely derailed from society. When he saw the wealthy kid and the female schoolmate happily hugging each other when being affectionate in an Audi car, Lin Feng jumped into a random car and with a smile, he drove into the Audi. Lin Feng vaguely remembers the two fearful yet dirty faces that contain the dirtiness of this corrupted world. In his previous life, Lin Feng no longer has any lingering worries. Therefore, he was not depressed due to the fact that he crossed over to another world. He was depressed due to the fact that he seemed to have possessed the body of a trashy young master with a trashy spirit. This young master Lin that possesses the same name as him was originally an outer sect disciple of Yunhai. In the Yunhai sect, he was frequently bullied by his own cousin, beaten nearly to death and finally kicked out of the sect's doors. It was due to the fact that the young master was half dead did Lin Feng manage to seize the opportunity to cross over and possess his body. Since I managed to gain a new life, I will never let the tragedy repeat itself, Lin Feng said while he lay on his bed and clenched his fists. To the young master's soul that was reluctant to completely disperse, Lin Feng said, "Do not worry. From now on, you are me and I am you. I will no longer let myself be bullied." Having fused with majority of the original Lin Feng soul, Lin Feng was very clear on what kind of world he is currently in. The strong is respected. As long as you have sufficient strength, all power and influence would have to bow down in front of you, and this includes even the supreme imperial authority. And to those who seek to walk the martial arts path, not only do they need to have talent above others, but they would also need to have a strong heart as well as incomparably tenacious will. The former young master, Lin Feng, was somewhat weak, but the him now is different. The current Lin Feng barely escaped death and crossed over to a different world. In addition to the pain and suffering he went through, his will is no doubt much tougher than the young master, Lin Feng. It was as if the soul felt Lin Feng's strong will, it finally started to slowly weaken, and at last the two souls fused together perfectly. Hong. The moment the soul fused together, Lin Feng felt the soul tremor and the stun knocked him unconscious. Time passes and Lin Feng finally opened his eyes again. His brow wrinkled slightly and he carefully felt the throbbing of his soul. Sitting up, Lin Feng moved his conscious. Immediately, a particular atmosphere spread. At this moment, Lin Feng felt that he was wrapped in shadow. Did you hear? Lin Feng, that trash is still not awake. I bet that he is near death. Ha, a trash like him is better off the sooner he dies. He throws the face of the Lin family. Their talk in the distance had traveled to Lin Feng, yet he was not angry. Instead, he showed a strange look. The voices apparently transferred from a long distance away, yet the him now could hear everything clearly. Not only that, he was able to hear all the noises within several hundred meters. Moreover, Lin Feng discovered that his vision became even better and he became even more sensitive to his surroundings. In addition, he suddenly understood the previously misty and unclear marital arts path. Moving his conscience once again, a small snake spirit appeared behind Lin Feng. Its small body curled up. This snake was the one that people laugh at to be a trash spirit. As the snake species is unknown, he was unable to increase his ability. Twin spirit. At this moment, Lin Feng was not worried about the snake spirit. Instead, he had a stunned look on his face. Slowly, a hint of smile appeared on his face. That's right. The black mist spirit was a newly awakened spirit. Even though he does not know what type of spirit the shadow is, but with the snake spirit, he possesses two spirits. A person that was born with two spirits is also known as twin spirit. In fact, in the mainland, people who can cultivate two spirits are known as geniuses. The trash that everyone looked down on at this moment had twin spirit. Let's call you the dark spirit for now. Lin Feng showed a faint smile. To be able to have twin spirit must be due to his fused soul. Having two souls being combined into one, having two spirits is not surprising. As for this spirit's ability, at this moment it would seem that it is able to enhance his physical fitness. Closing his eyes, Lin Feng began to meditate. Slowly, the world's essence started flowing into Lin Feng's limbs and bones while nourishing the body and martial spirits. 2 hours later, Lin Feng stopped meditating and started to emit a milky foul air from his nose. Right after that, he felt that his whole body became fresh and he felt carefree as even the soreness of his body disappeared. So this is the cultivation of a warrior, fascinating. Lin Feng looked at his fist and with just a little strength, a crackling sound full of energy sounded out. The speed of his practice seems to be faster as compared to his memories. Lin Feng walked out of his room and in front of him was a huge courtyard. In the courtyard, wooden stakes and stone pillars are there for him to practice. Arriving in front of the stone pillars, Lin Feng used the martial technique, 9 heavy waves. The wind started whistling and pierced the air. It was as if space was being twisted by waves after waves. Ha! At this point of time, Lin Feng shouted. He straightened his waist and abdomen and sent out a meteor-like punch onto the stone pillar, creating a loud thunder sound. The stone pillar instantly exploded into piles of dusts and scattered onto the ground. Moreover, the air pressure continued on even after shattering the stone pillars. The air pressure produced several loud sounds and caused the air to move forward like waves. This air pressure created cracks at another stone pillar 2 meters away. This punch should have over 6,000 gene strength. Lin Feng was very satisfied with its effect. Right now, his power has been restored to the peak and his chi has reached the 5th layer. Even the martial technique, 9 heavy waves, that he trained in has turned even stronger. Previously he could only achieve 5 heavy waves, but now he had actually broke through to having 6 heavy waves. It was due to his breakthrough that he was able to use his chi and send out 6,000 gene of strength. Seems like the dark spirit not only enhanced my vision and hearing but also my speed and comprehension. Lin Feng smiled. He being called trash was not only due to his snake spirit but also due to his poor comprehension ability. The talented at his age would have already reached the 6th chi layer or higher. Yet, he was only at the 5th layer. In addition, his comprehension ability was also lower as compared to the others. Even when he practiced only one martial technique, he was stuck at the 5th heavy wave, causing him to be ridiculed. But now, the cultivation problems he faced seemed to varnish with the appearance of the dark spirit. Being able to enhance the overall martial arts quality of a person, it seems that the dark spirit is no ordinary spirit. Chapter 2, Continuous Breakthrough, Xiao Feng. The voice came from the middle-aged man standing in the courtyard. This person with a strong body and disposition looked somewhat similar to Lin Feng. Father, he was indeed the head of the Lin clan and he is also Lin Feng's father. Due to the soul fusion, Lin Feng currently possesses both the thoughts and feelings of the previous Lin Feng. Thus, he felt natural calling that person, father. Xiao Feng, you're okay. Lin Hai's face quivered. Lin Feng was sent back to the Lin clan with his life hanging by a piece of thread, and all this while he had been in a comatose state. Lin Hai had already lost all hope and started to help Lin Feng prepare his funeral. But at this moment, he was surprised to see that his son alive. How could he not be delighted? Yes, father. I have completely recovered. Lin Feng smiled when he saw how happy Lin Hai was. This gave him a very warm feeling. When his grandfather died in his previous life, he had to face the coldness of human nature alone and had never enjoyed this kind of warm feeling before. Good, good. Lin Hai heavily patted Lin Feng's shoulder. A glint of light flashed past his eyes as he looked at the stone pillar that was turned into dust. His own brothers has been eyeing and waiting for him to fall so that they could snatch the family's head seat. Those bastards must be feeling rather disappointed now that Lin Feng had recovered so soon. It was at this moment did Lin Hai suddenly emit bursts of cold chills, causing Lin Feng to feel that his body had frozen. Father is indeed a strong fighter in the soul layer. Just by sending out his aura, he would be able to freeze the people below his strength. Lin Feng said in his heart. In the path of martial arts, the first layer would be Qi. Only by slowly directing the essence of heaven and earth into one's body, refining and training your spirit would one be able to form Qi. Thereafter, one would have stepped into the soul layer. In the soul layer, one can finally practice the martial arts laws. The mastery of the laws means that one will be stronger than anyone, and with just one step, a man can be killed. And Lin Hai was one of the experts in the soul layer. Xiao Feng. Who did this? Lin Hai's face was gloomy. When Lin Feng was sent back, he was already half dead. This proved that the opponent had indeed wanted Lin Feng's life. And it was the truth. The opponent did wanted Lin Feng's life. Father, please let your child handle this matter by himself. Lin Feng did not tell Lin Hai that he was wounded by his third uncle's son, Lin Heng. In the Lin's family, his third uncle and eldest uncle acts in collaboration and is always coveting the family's head seat. In fact, in terms of their strength and influence, it is not much weaker when compared with Lin Hai. Adding on to the fact that Lin Heng's natural talent is rather good and he is one of the outstanding students of Yunhai sect, this was why Lin Heng dared to wound Lin Feng lawlessly. This hatred, Lin Feng has to pay it back himself. The way of the martial arts does not allow any regrets, or it would eventually become a barrier to a warrior's training. Lin Hai looked somewhat surprised at his son, and at this moment, he saw that Lin Feng's attitude has changed and his eyes was firm and resolute. He no longer showed and give off the feeling that he was weak and dispirited. It would seem like this incident was a blessing in disguise. Lin Hai was pleased in his heart and nodded his head. Go with me to the family meeting tomorrow. I would like to see how they would kick me off my position. Night time, in the Lin family's purple bamboo forest, Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged on the ground and behind him was a cluster of black shadows. This shadow that has almost completely blended into the darkness was indeed the dark spirit. While training, Lin Feng discovered that when he uses his dark spirit, his practice speed is more than 5 times slower. Therefore, he had to push himself and ignore the additional mental fatigue that accumulated when using his dark spirit during his training. Since God had given him a second chance, he must naturally live well. In this continent, only the strong is respected and admired by people and can do anything they want. Wrapped around Lin Feng was a faint milky light that shined brightly in the darkness. This light only appears when the essences of heaven and earth have condensed to a certain extent. The talented when practicing would have a faster rate of heaven and earth's essences to gathering around their body, and at this moment, Lin Feng was in that state. Right now, Lin Feng was breathing steadily and looked peaceful and calm. The heaven and earth essences are flowing through his body and dissolved in his blood vessels, strengthening his bones and physique. After a long time, the light flashed and Lin Feng's body suddenly became like a black hole, and in an instant, he swallowed the entire milky white heaven and earth essence into his body. Opening his eyes, a fleeting light flashed across his eyes. Lin Feng stood up and a hint of a smile appeared. He had broken through in one night to the next layer. At this moment, he has reached the 6th chi layer. However, Lin Feng was not satisfied. From his memories, he knew that the 9 chi layers was only the starting point of martial arts. The real martial arts experts are able to fly in the sky and travel beyond the highest heaven. How carefree and happy would it be? In his previous life, that would have been seen as a god. Thinking about it, Lin Feng started to sway his fist and a whistling sound came forth. A momentary burst of wave energy caused the surrounding bamboo to explode. Qi is separated into 9 layers. With every increase of 1 layer, his strength is increased by 1,000 jin. Right now, he is in the 6th chi layer and possesses the strength of 6,000 jin. And if he uses the martial technique, 9 heavy waves, which he has trained till the 6th wave, he would be able to send out a force of 6,500 jin. However, it was still not enough to Lin Feng. If he was able to practice till the 7th wave, with one fierce wave after another bursting out, at that point he would be able to send out a force of 7,000 jin, which would be equivalent to the pure strength of a warrior in the 7th chi layer. Under the ferocious force of over 6,000 jin, the fragile purple bamboo exploded endlessly. The entire space became ocean-like and the howls of the fist and its shadow were the only thing left. It was at this point of time, did one of the bamboos not explode but instead, rebounded back. When Lin Feng saw that, the speed of his punching slowed down. The 9 heavy waves technique was created based on the ocean's waves. Every wave would be stronger than the previous wave and it is domineering. However, not matter how dominating it is, it would also have a gentle side. It was only when toughness and gentleness combined together would it become unprecedented. Enlightened, Lin Feng's fist was no longer constantly dominating. But instead, it was now occasionally tough yet occasionally gentle. Lin Feng shouted while sending out a punch. Hung, hung, hung. Sounds of explosion busted out. 6 booms, 7 booms. 8 booms. The purple bamboos touched by the chi waves were all completely turned into dust. 8 waves, strong. Lin Feng withdraws his fist and took a deep breath as he looked at the now empty space in front of him. Having gained comprehension of the 9 heavy waves technique, he was able to break through 2 stages and reach the 8th wave. It must be known that martial techniques become more and more difficult to train in as it reaches the later stages. For people in the 5th chi layer, it would be easy for them to comprehend up to the 5th wave. However, people in the 8th chi layer might not necessarily gain the comprehension to the 8 waves. But Lin Feng had done it. Now that I should possess the strength of 7500 gene, and as long as I fully comprehend the notion of combining both toughness and gentleness together, that would be when the 9 heavy waves technique is completed. Lin Feng felt pleased in his heart. Martial techniques would become increasingly difficult to practice in the later stages, but the power of the techniques would be several times stronger. The him now possesses the strength of 7500 gene. Even if he faced a warrior in the 7th chi layer, he would still be able to put up a fight. The Lin Feng in the past was looked down on by others as he was not even able to win against a normal 5th chi layer warrior. But the Lin Feng now, although he had only arrived in this world for a day, he had improved and now possesses the might of a 7th chi layer warrior. Chapter 3, Overbearing Violence, Alice. Early in the morning, the Lin family appeared especially lively. This was due to the family meeting that was occurring soon, and everyone is heading towards the field in the middle of the mansion. Did you hear? This time, not only did eldest uncle come, but third uncle came as well. Looks like this time they are all aiming for the family head seat. He, although the patriarch is strong, however that trash of a son might have already died. He was even sent back personally by people of the Yunhai sect, totally disgracing the face of the Lin family. In addition, eldest uncle is always displeased with the patriarch. He would surely use this chance to launch an attack. Who knows, the family head seat might change its owner today. Throughout the journey, everyone in the Lin family was whispering non-stop. The crowd knows that today's family meeting would surely be extraordinary. Lin Feng and Lin Hai are currently making their way to the field as well. Seeing that Lin Feng is safe and sound, hints of colors flashes past countless people's eyes. Some of them were even thinking, how is this trash not dead yet? But under the might of Lin Hai, majority of them did not dare to speak their mind. This trash sure is lucky to still be alive, a shrill voice sounded out suddenly. This made majority of the people there raise their head, and they saw a passerby with an extraordinary aura walk towards them. The one that spoke was a youth. He is the son of Lin Hao Ran, who is the third uncle of the Lin family. Both him, Lin Yun and Lin Feng are at the same age of 15. However, Lin Yun is at the 6th chi layer. So it was Lin Yun. No wonder he dared to say that. When everyone saw third uncle, Lin Hao Ran, and eldest uncle, Lin Ba Dao, walking together, they all knew that both of them came with ill intentions. Say that again. A cold glint flashed past Lin Hai's eyes while he stared at Lin Yun. This caused a flash of fear to flutter across Lin Yun's face, and he dared not look at Lin Hai directly. Second brother, you're getting more and more outrageous as the family head. To think that the older generation is bullying the younger generation. Lin Ba Dao said in a mocking and cold tone. Ha! I, Lin Hai, am still the family head. To think that Lin Yun is so uneducated, how improper is that, Lin Hai responded indifferently. Second brother is so imposing. But I'll like to see how much long you can act like this as the family head. Lin Hao Ran said in a harsh tone, your trash of a son was kicked out of Yunhai sect and had to be carried back home. He had completely thrown away the face of the Lin family. How could people not gossip about it? How much longer can I stay imposing? Lin Hao Ran, are you trying to say that I may soon lose my seat as the family head? Do you think you can get this seat? Are you even qualified? Lin Hai took one step forward and a cold chill started emitting from his body. Lin Yun could only run and hide behind Lin Hao Ran as he felt his body turn ice cold. Whether am I qualified or not, only the elders can have the final say. When did it become your turn, Lin Hai? Lin Hao Ran's face darkens. He did not expect Lin Hai to be so overbearing today and to be so unlike his usual self. So you admitted it. I, Lin Hai, am still currently the family head. For your son to curse my son to die in front of me, what sort of punishment does he deserve? Lin Hai did not back off and the cold air became even heavier. The surrounding air's temperature continued decreasing and white frost were starting to form. The family head is no doubt the family head. He gives off of aura of dignity. To think that he would be the one launching an attack on third uncle first. The crowd looked over and they all held a hint of respect and admiration for Lin Hai in their heart. They had thought that Lin Hai would passively deal with the attacks launched by third uncle and eldest uncle today. Lin Hai, do you think that I am afraid of you? Lin Haoran came prepare. After saying that, a powerful heat wave surged out and fought head-on with the chill. Father possesses the ice spirit and therefore, he mainly practices in ice techniques. However, Lin Haoran possesses the fire spirit and so he practices mainly in fire techniques. Water is the bane of fire. No matter how hard Lin Haoran fights, he would not be able to win against my father. The main lead this time is clearly not him. Lin Feng, who was standing at the side, gazed towards Lin Ba Dao to see him revealing a hint of sneer at the corner of his mouth before saying, "Second brother, the family meeting is starting soon. Could it be that you as the head of the family deem that the elders are not even worth your attention? In the Lin family, the elders hold the highest authority. They exist only to appoint the next family head." Therefore, Lin Ba Dao had used the power of the elder's presence to pressure Lin Hai and make him take a step back. Tisk. Lin Hai gave a look of disdain toward Lin Haoran and withdrew his chi before leaving together with Lin Feng. Lin Haoran was naturally aware of the disdain look given by Lin Hai and cold chill flashed past his eyes. This time, your trash of a son was lucky to still be alive. But next time, he would not be so lucky. Lin Haoran's oldest son, Lin Hengnai, was an outstanding disciple of Yunhai outer sect and it would only be a matter of time before he gets promoted to be an inner court disciple. Even if he is just an inner court junior, as the son's status grows, so does the father's. At that point of time, his position in the family would naturally go up as well. It would be to the point where a mere family head would not be able to reach. On the other hand, Lin Ba Dao's daughter is even more talented. She had already joined the inner court of the Haoyu sect and her future is bright and limitless. Within the three brothers, only Lin Hai's son possesses poor talent and is known as a trash. This was what Lin Ba Dao and Lin Haoran is relying on. Right now the elders have a much better impression of them and this is something Lin Hai can't influence. 400 to 500 people of the Lin family had gathered in the field and in the middle of the field, there was a green stone platform. At this moment, the decision-makers of the Lin family are on it. Elders, a few days ago, it was an honor for the people of the Yunhai sect to have come to our house. However, it was to actually send back to us a half-dead trash, completely throwing away the face of our family. Therefore, I suggest disowning Lin Feng from the family. He does not have the qualifications to be a part of the Lin family. Lin Haoran stood up and respectfully faced the elders while directly launching his attack. You're actually so blunt to go straight to the point. But, I the family head have yet to say anything. When did it become your turn to talk? Go back to your position. Lin Hai knows very clearly about the goal of Lin Haoran. He would like to see how the other party is going to expel his son out of the family and seize the position of the family head. Second brother, what you said is not right. Although you might be the family head, but third brother is also considered a member of the family. He was just thinking about the family. Your trash of a son had really completely thrown away the face of our family and should be expelled. Lin Ba Dao's overbearing voice resounded and directly attacked Lin Hai. My own son, I will discipline him myself. How is it related to the clansman and it is certainly not up to you. Lin Ba Dao, I know that you have been eyeing my seat. How about this? Today, you and I would have a duel. If you win, I will leave the family with my son. However, if you lose, you better stop farting. Lin Hai stood up and walked directly to the middle of the platform. Strong chi started emitting out towards Lin Ba Dao. Even if you do not want to fight, you have to fight. Lin Feng looked at his father with a changed attitude. Aggressiveness that can scare people, only the strong will be respected. Only the strong have the right to speak. He also wanted to make the other party shut up with his own strength. I only fear that you are inadequate. Anger surged inside Lin Ba Dao when he heard Lin Hai saying that his words are farts. He walked towards the platform and stood opposite Lin Hai. All the elders remained silent. In fact, they were happy that this situation occurred. If Lin Hai could not even win against Lin Ba Dao, along with the fact that he has a trash for a son, the family head seat would naturally move today. I would like to see based on what can you be so haughty. Lin Ba Dao sneered only to see Lin Hai ignoring him. Cold chills started surrounding the stage. Hundreds of people in the audience could feel the piercing chill seeping into their body and bones at the same time. This is the power of a spirit. Lin Hai's spirit is the ice spirit. Once released, the surrounding would completely change as it gets eroded by the ice. Great distance icebound, Lin Ba Dao had just wanted to release his own spirit. But when he heard Lin Hai's voice, the sound of a click traveled outwards with Lin Hai as the center instantly. Cold chill covered the entire stage and spread to its surrounding. The entire platform was covered in snow-white ice, and at that moment, Lin Ba Dao had become frozen in ice and turned into an ice man. Boom, an explosion sounded and the ice cracked. Lin Ba Dao flew out of the platform and blood spouted out of his mouth before he fell heavily onto the ground. All the elders stood up and were shocked with the scene in front of their eyes. Lin Ba Dao had unexpectedly collapsed with only one blow. Great distance icebound, Lin Hai's icebound technique had actually reached the 8th stage. No wonder he is so strong. The great elder eyes flashed. Lin Hai possesses the ice spirit, coupled with the powerful icebound technique. He had frozen Lin Ba Dao instantaneously and struck a deadly hit in one breath. If his reaction speed had been half a beat slower, I'm afraid this duel would not be over so soon. The people of the Lin family were all dazed. This was the first time they saw such a domineering Lin Hai. He was even more domineering as compared to Lin De Bao. Lin De Bao spouted out another mouthful of blood and looked at Lin Hai with a cloudy look. However, Lin Hai did not care. He could guess that Lin Feng's injury was undoubtedly related to his two brothers. Since they wanted to kill his son, there was no need for him, Lin Hai, to take into account their brotherhood. Elders, please continue with the family meeting. Lin Hai paid his respect to the elders before returning to his seat as if nothing had happened. Lin Hai, as the family head, your cultivation had improved and you have set a good example. I believe that the people of the Lin family will work even hard. The purpose of this meeting had been reached. Everyone is free to go. Great Elder gave a small smile. To continue the family meeting now would have no meaning at all. Great Elder, if that's the case, I will retire first. Lin Hai paid his respect to the Great Elder and stood up with Lin Feng. Lin Hai, I would like to see how much long you can protect this trash, said Lin Hao ran coldly as his goal had not been reached. That's right. Trash, the disgrace of my Lin family. Lin Yun echoed. However, as he saw Lin Hai's eyes sweep past him, he quickly shut his mouth. Xiao Feng, let's go. Lin Hai did not want to bother with them. However, Lin Feng did not go. Instead, he turned around and started walking towards Lin Yun. This scene made the people of the Lin family confused as they did not know what Lin Feng is doing. Lin Hai was also looking at his son in surprise, only to see Lin Feng walking in front of Lin Yun before saying, Lin Yun, you keep blabbering that I am trash. I would like to ask you, if one day you find out that you're worse than me, how humiliated would you be? You're dreaming. How could you, this trash, be compared to me? Lin Yun did not expect Lin Feng, a trash, to say those words to him and could not help but give off a mocking sound. Lin Feng's eyes flashed and he chuckled before indifferently saying, Lin Yun, Lin Feng, challenge you to a duel. When Lin Feng finished speaking, the whole field had quietened down. When Lin Feng finished speaking, the whole field had quietened down. Lin Feng took the initiative to issue a challenge to Lin Yun. Even Lin Hai was stunned and looked at his son in surprise. The elders on top of the platform who were preparing to leave, sat back down and looked at Lin Feng with great interest. Lin Hao Ran gave a cold smile, yet his heart at this moment was suppressing his anger. He did not expect that the trash would take the initiative to fight his son. Lin Yun, accept the challenge. Lin Hao Ran's gaze held an intense look as his eyes fell upon Lin Yun. Lin Yun looked at Lin Feng and felt insulted. In the family, his talent could only be considered ordinary. It was only in front of Lin Feng could find his pride and raise his head high up. Thus, every time he saw Lin Feng, he was more than happy to taunt him a few times. But right now, it was exactly this trash of the young generation that actually dared to challenge him, causing his face to darken. I will stop if you can receive 3 of my moves. Lin Yun said while walking out. He plans to defeat Lin Feng with the most brutal methods so as to let him understand how much of a trash he is. If you can receive 1 of my punches, it will be considered as my defeat. Lin Feng shook his head and said indifferently. The indifferent tone sounded as if Lin Yun would not be able to receive even 1 of Lin Feng's punches, and this caused his complexion to turn gloomy instantly. The crowd was stunned and could only look at Lin Feng speechlessly. This fellow must have gone mad. To think he would actually say something so boastful. No matter how beautiful the words said by the trash are, he is still a trash. Using the advantage of the words, is something only a trash like you would do. Lin Yun sneered. Lin Feng laughed. He's using the advantages of words. He had only said a few words. Receive my punch. Lin Feng is unwilling to waste any more time with idle talk. After his voice faded, he moved his body forward, raised his fist and immediately brandished it towards Lin Yun. 1 punch. Lin Yun's eyes flashed cruelly and he did not evade that punch. Instead, he raised his own fist. He wanted to let Lin Feng know the huge disparity between their skill levels. The air started vibrating and a tyrannical wave appeared on Lin Feng's fist, produced a fluttering sound. However, the crowd could only see heavy waves moving towards Lin Yun before passing through him tyrannically. Martial technique, 9 heavy waves. Lin Yun's complexion changed suddenly as he felt how strong the force of oppression is. But it was too late to withdraw now. Both fists clashed and Lin Yun felt the aggressive waves travel through his fist and past his body forcefully. Each wave was stronger than the previous one and it was never ending. Pooh! With a groan, Lin Yun's body flew out. Everyone was dumbfounded. This scene was exactly the same as the fight between Lin Hai and Lin Ba Dao previously. Lin Yun, without the slightest resistance, was sent flying with only a single punch. Lin Hao Ran stood up and stared dumbly at Lin Yun who was lying on the ground. How could this be possible? Lin Yun was as shocked as Lin Hao Ran and was unable to accept the cruel reality. When the crowd heard Lin Yun's words, they remembered what Lin Feng had said previously. You keep blabbering that I am a trash. I would like to ask you, if one day you find out that you're worse than me, how humiliated would you be? The present scene had without doubt proved the proud words said by the youth. This is the trash young master of the Lin family. Looking at Lin Feng, everyone in the audience knew that to be able to send Lin Yun flying with 1 punch, the punch must have at least 6,000 jin in strength. You keep blabbering that I am a trash. Now that you can't even receive 1 of my punches, where does that leave you? Lin Feng said ironically and looked at Lin Yun with a vicious look in his eyes. And you? You're a senior yet you keep saying the word trash all the time. Now, your son has been defeated by me with just 1 punch. You're always saying that I am a piece of trash, now won't you have to say that your son is a piece of trash as well? Raising his head, Lin Feng looked over to Lin Hao Ran and said. You're only at the 6th chi layer. Does this insignificant strength allow you to be so arrogant here? Lin Hao Ran's face turned very ugly and rebuked him. I'm not being arrogant here. I am just returning what your son and you have been giving to me. Feng is unwilling to say anything more. He turned to leave and said, if you shame others, other people will also shame you. If you shame others, other people will also shame you. Lin Hai whispered softly and lights flashed past his smiling eyes. His own son had really changed. To think he is actually able to say such philosophical words. Feng returned to his room in the courtyard and began practicing again. Although he had conquered and passed the 5th qi layer, it was not enough for him to stand up tall. Heng, who had beaten him up and threw him out of the sect doors, is naturally more talented as compared to Lin Yun. And he was currently in the 8th qi layer. In addition, there are also Lin Badao's children. Their talent can be said to be several times higher as compared to Lin Yun. Especially Lin Badao's daughter, Lin Qian. It has been said that she had already reached the 9th qi layer. In 3 more months, the annual meeting would be held. At that time, everyone in the Lin family, even those who are training in the sects, would come back. If he does not increase his cultivation rapidly, it would be him that would be shamed the next time. Cultivation is endless. Time passes the fastest when a warrior is practicing. To a warrior who is able to absorb the heaven and earth essences, not eating or drinking for 10 days is not a problem. The world's vitality is no doubt the purest essence. 10 days had passed and Lin Feng finally stepped out of his room. He slowly exhaled a long breath. In this 10 days period, he had reached the boundaries of the 6th qi layer and would be able to reach the 7th qi layer very soon. Quickening his pace, Lin Feng walked toward his father's, Lin Hai's room. Xiao Feng, isn't it okay to practice at home? Why must you return back to the sect? Lin Hai was worried when he heard Lin Feng said that he wanted to return to the sect. Lin Hai still bears a grudge in regards to the previous incident and is unable to let it go. Father, some things are inevitable. If I hide at home to practice, Father will always be sheltering me. How would I be able to grow and become a strong martial arts warrior? Lin Feng's eyes showed a strong determination. The sect's strength is much greater compared to the Lin family's. There are strong martial techniques as well as intense competition in the sect. It is only in there would he be able to grow even faster. Seeing the stubbornness in Lin Feng's eyes, Lin Hai sighed in his heart. His son has really grown up. It is true that staying at home to practice and staying under his shelter is a cowardly behavior. It would be impossible to become a strong martial arts warrior that way. However, standing from his point of view, he is unwilling due to his parental love towards Lin Feng. Since you insist on returning back to the sect, as your father, I will not stop you. However, you have to pay attention to your own safety, said Lin Hai as he nodded his head. Do not worry, father. I will practice hard and have them all under my foot. Lin Feng's speech held a strong sense of self-confidence. With his dark spirit, his cultivation speed is many times faster as compared to the average person. His comprehension ability had also become stronger. In addition, with a determined heart, he had reasons to believe that he would not be worse off as compared to those so-called geniuses. Lin Feng did not bring anything much, only a horse, a bag of dry food as well as some silver. Father, I'm off. Outside of Yangzhou City, Lin Feng looked at his father as he said his farewells. Ah. Be careful. Lin Hai nodded. Riding the horse, Thousand Snows, they disappeared from Yangzhou City. In the endless vast land, Lin Feng was riding on horseback. Galloping between heaven and earth, a surge of pride and ambitions bloomed in his heart. In his previous life, Lin Feng had loved martial warriors shows. A lone knight riding a horse while singing and traveling around the world with a sword. He did not expect that in this life, he would have the chance to ride on a horse and travel through the world freely. A pot of liquor, a song of broken love, and a wild life. One hero wielding a sword and travel the world, for pride, the world will bleed and die the green sky. In this life, he was fated to be extraordinary. In this life, he was destined to live imposingly. 10,000 miles separated Yangzhou City from the Yunhai sect. Even though Li Shui could travel across 1,000 miles a day, it still took Lin Feng 10 days to arrive. 10,000 miles separated Yangzhou City from the Yunhai sect. Even though Li Shui could travel across 1,000 miles a day, it still took Lin Feng 10 days to arrive. However, during these 10 days, Lin Feng didn't waste time. In his previous life, Lin Feng had never been that warm-blooded, he had never experienced such a feeling of ardor. Unwittingly, his state of mind had improved greatly. Walking on the path of cultivation had now enabled him to reach the 7th Qi layer. Where water flows, a canal is formed, as the saying goes. Besides, practicing had enabled him to master the 9 heavy waves martial arts technique to a new level. These days, Lin Feng possessed a much more powerful physical strength than in his previous life. His actual strength was actually close to 8,500 jin, which was immensely powerful for the 7th Qi layer of cultivation. The Yunhai sect was located in a mountain chain called Yunhai Hill. Yunhai Hill wasn't really the biggest mountain in that mountain chain, but it covered such a big area that it was easily visible from the distant sky. Yunhai Hill even looked like a city when looked down upon from the heavens. It was surrounded by 8 mountains which, unlike Yunhai Hill, seemed to rise into the sky as if reaching for the heavens. The mystical beauty of this mountain owes itself to Feng Shui, it provides a great luck and destiny. As he moved closer. "Halt! Come down off that horse," said 2 mountain guards quite coldly while giving Lin Feng a mocking smile. These 2 guards were also Yunhai sect's disciples. Lin Feng looked at them in a disdainful way. Meanwhile, another disciple riding a horse rode past and continued on towards the mountain. Lin Feng pointed at him, "How come you're not preventing him from getting in?" "Humph," one of them smiled, expressing both ridicule and anger. "How can you compare yourself with the normal disciples? You almost got killed before, you piece of trash." So it was only a matter of power and status. Lin Feng smiled. These mountain guards, even though they belonged to the Yunhai sect, were only there for decoration. Their level was so weak. However, if someone wants to come in, they must pass the mountain guards. Even though their job wasn't that important, they had the power to prevent people from getting in. Powerful disciples like the one who previously rode past didn't have to tell them anything. Weak ones must be bullied and humiliated, Lin Feng said while smiling sarcastically. He didn't come down off the horse's back, he just pulled on the reins. Qian Li Shui neighed and reared back. "How dare you, you piece of trash," yelled the 2 guards at the same time. Lin Feng raised his fists and punched the air, creating 2 shock waves which struck towards the guards. The sudden extremely powerful burst of air struck them so violently that it knocked them back. "If this happens again, I will cripple you," Lin Feng hurtled by. Only those who were powerful had the possibility to express themselves. The 2 guards struggled back to their feet, while gasping and wiping the blood from the corner of their lips. They saw Lin Feng was already far away and it made their anger boil from within. A piece of trash was still more powerful than them, no wonder they were only fit to be mountain guards. Within the Yunhai sect, if 15 to 16-year-old teenagers had reached the 6th or 7th layer on the path of cultivation, their talent was defined as average. Those who had reached the 8th layer were considered as outstanding geniuses. Everybody within the Yunhai sect would show them admiration. As for 15 to 16-year-old ones who reached the Ling Qi layer, their power would be acknowledged in the entire Shuiyu country. Unlike these geniuses, if a 15-year-old doesn't make any progress within the Qi layers, they will be looked down by the others. Lin Feng's level was so low that the others called him piece of trash. He was bullied by other people and they all considered him to be worthless trash. The fact that Lin Feng had come back to the Yunhai sect spread very quickly amongst the sect's disciples. Lin Feng, the piece of trash, was infamous in the Yunhai sect. Lin Feng, while walking within the sect's territory, noticed people were staring at him, all of them had different expressions on their face. He turned a deaf ear to what was happening. Moving forward within the Yunhai sect, he walked over the Xingchen pavilion. The Xingchen Pavilion was a place within the Yunhai sect where disciples were provided with various martial cultivation techniques and martial skills. Every day, many disciples would go to the Xingchen Pavilion to practice. That day was no exception, and the pavilion was filled with disciples. Suddenly, Lin Feng stopped walking when he heard a voice. He looked around him and shortly after noticed a teenager whose face looked quite cold. "You're quite resilient, it seems you haven't died yet." The teenager was Lin Heng. He was the culprit who tried to murder Lin Feng last time they had seen each other, Lin Hao Rant's eldest son. Lin Feng gave him a quick glance and smiled mockingly. Lin Heng had only reached the 8th Qi layer while Lin Feng was at the 7th Qi layer but had also mastered the 9 heavy waves technique. He wasn't inferior to Lin Heng whatsoever. Lin Feng only had to learn and practice 1 or 2 more skills and he would certainly be able to defeat Lin Heng. Lin Feng ignored Lin Heng and immediately entered the Xingchen Pavilion. Improve his skills and strength first, and then take his revenge. "Next time, I will definitely kill you and send you home to your father to bury," Lin Heng said, furious to see that Lin Feng was ignoring him. Lin Heng's eyes were like piercing daggers as he stared at Lin Feng. In front of the Xingchen Pavilion, there was an old man sitting. That old man was staring absent-minded at the horizon. "Elder," Lin Feng bowed to greet the old man. He was the only one there to protect the pavilion. The Xingchen Pavilion was a very important place, but the old man guarding it didn't look like he was that important. It reminded Lin Feng of a film he watched in his previous life. It depicted an old powerful monk in a Shaolin temple who was simply cleaning the floor like a servant. Lin Feng thought that scene was particularly deep and unmeasurable, enigmatic and impossible to fully comprehend. As someone who had been granted a second life, he was able to understand the meaning of such actions. The old man's expression suddenly changed and he started to pay attention. He was quite surprised to see Lin Feng acknowledge him. A short moment after, he started nodding his head, which expressed how pleasantly surprised he was. 7th Qi layer, you can only choose and practice skills introduced on the first floor, at most 2 skills. "I understand," Lin Feng replied. The Xingchen Pavilion was divided into 3 floors. Students of a lower level didn't have access to the same resources as their fellow disciples of a higher level. The latter had a card to access these higher-level resources. Thus, lower-level disciples could only access resources on the first floor. The resources available on the first floor are all yellow-level skills and methods. However, there is a huge amount of them. It is thus possible to find skills and methods which are the most suitable for oneself. They are Yunhai sect's basic skills and methods. All of them are better than any of the skills which can be found within Lin's family. What Lin Feng needed the most at the moment were skills, so he started to look for books in the skill bookshelf. 7 Tyrant Fist, 1 Tyrannical Fist, 7 Lethal Strikes, skills suitable for those who possess the martial spirit. Hurricane Blade, transform the air itself into a weapon and launch multiple wind blades, skills suitable for people who have the air spirit. Rampaging Ox, yellow level top grade martial arts skill, skills suitable for beast spirits. Lin Feng browsed through all these books, quickly turning the pages and then putting them back into the shelf. He possessed the dark spirit. He was capable of strengthening all skills possible. His understanding ability was also quite high. Basically, there was absolutely no restriction when it came to learning new skills. He could learn and practice them all, which is one of the advantages of having a dark spirit. However, he still could not find a skill he wanted. Cool Breeze Sword, quick and skillful, using this skill must be done with natural grace and elegance, fits people who have the sword spirit. Lin Feng's facial expression changed and he suddenly stared at this book. He was looking forward to carrying a sword and traveling around in all corners of the country helping people in need and shedding the blood of those with evil intentions. He was filled with gratitude for his second chance and a thirst for vengeance. Unable to describe his feelings, he was feeling quite happy, but he still had the impression that it wasn't exactly the skill that he needed or really wanted. Sword Unsheathing Skill. Sword Unsheathing is a skill which kills at lightning speed, a fast one-hit kill, suitable for people who possess a sword spirit. Sword Unsheathing. Lin Feng stopped moving. It seemed that the use of that sword was different from that of other swords. Traditionally, what swordsmen liked the less was the moment of unsheathing a sword because it is a critical moment during which a certain amount of time is lost and thus delays the moment when the attack can be carried out. Nevertheless, sword unsheathing was a skill made to kill people. Unsheathing the sword had killing for its sole purpose. The most powerful moment of that skill was unsheathing the sword and striking with one movement. If you missed once, you could only consider yourself defeated. Furthermore, sword unsheathing wasn't the same as other skills. It had only one level, one movement. Unsheathing the sword, killing people was the ultimate attainment, the highest achievement. One quick movement and the sword is showering in the blood of your enemies. I choose it. Lin Feng took the book, Sword Unsheathing, and then got ready to choose a body movement technique. After all, he had to ensure he would be able to kill in one hit at all times. If defeated, the only solution, assuming you could run fast enough, was to escape. Leaping onto roofs, vaulting over walls, was also something that could be useful, but that's something everyone dreams of, right? Lin Feng then chose another book called Moonlight Feather, which was a agility technique. Anyone who could master these skills could become so powerful that nobody would see them. In fact, nobody would see anything but your shadow and their own death. Gathering the books together, Lin Feng went to the old man to check them out. Sword Unsheathing, whispered the old man, and went on, young man, sword unsheathing, it's the first time that it is picked up by someone. Nonetheless, you need to know that if someone has already unsheathed their sword and you still haven't unsheathed yours, if your speed is slower than that of your opponent, the outcome is obvious, you're doomed. One can say that this skill is very powerful, but it requires a high level of achievement. You must be quicker than any opponent, and only then, you will be able to kill them in one hit. I understand. Lin Feng knew the elder was showing kindness in making him aware of the weakness. If someone were too slow to unsheath their sword, then killing in one hit would be impossible, and that meant putting yourself in a critical and dangerous situation. You clearly understand the implications, then that's a good thing. If you cannot successfully kill in one hit, Moonlight Feather is an excellent movement skill for escaping. The old man stopped talking and checked out Lin Feng's books. Furthermore, books borrowed from the Xingchen Pavilion had to be returned within 1 month. Borrowing them for more than a month would influence other Yunhai sect members' training, as they would be unable to borrow them as well. Thank you, elder, thank you for guiding me. Lin Feng picked up the books and politely thanked the old man, showing him gratitude. The old man smiled while nodding his head and handing over a flexible sword. You can use this sword as a belt because it is very soft. This sword is of no use here anyway, you can take it and have fun. Before Lin Feng could say thanks, don't mention it, no need to thank me so many times. Go and train. The old man noticed that Lin Feng wanted to thank him again and waved goodbye to him. Lin Feng scratched his head, not knowing what to say. He took a closer look at the sword. Sword unsheathing combined with wearing the sword as a belt would enable you to attack someone by surprise and kill them in one swift motion. Lin Feng nodded, smiled at the old man and then left. It's been a long while since I've seen such an interesting young man, whispered the old man to himself. Immediately after that, the old man got back into his initial position, staring at the horizon, seemingly lost in thought. These days, young people were concerned with training to improve their actual strength, but more and more did it impulsively while forgetting and neglecting the traditional foundations of martial skills. Not sane. Since no one has picked this up since the amazing Alice dropped it, I will be continuing this project. Please check the schedule. Regular releases are coming to a translation team near you. Another chapter to follow to celebrate our release day. Thank you to lowly Queen Pan Pan for being adorable. The Yunhai sect was surrounded by 8 mountain peaks. Each of these mountains was connected with the other in perfect harmony. Yunhai sect's disciples could thus easily go to these high-altitude mountain peaks. These mountains, which made the region a blessed heaven, were filled with caves where disciples could go and concentrate on their training in peace. These mountains were extraordinarily high and covered a vast area. Going to these mountains was therefore an easy way to find peace and tranquility for cultivation. The Yunhai sect was surrounded by 8 mountain peaks. Each of these mountains was connected with the other in perfect harmony. Yunhai sect's disciples could thus easily go to these high-altitude mountain peaks. These mountains, which made the region a blessed heaven, were filled with caves where disciples could go and concentrate on their training in peace. These mountains were extraordinarily high and covered a vast area. Going to these mountains was therefore an easy way to find peace and tranquility for cultivation. Lin Feng was walking over a precipice decorated by overhanging rocks. He was surrounded by perilous cliffs and precipices. When looking around him, he could see a boundless sea of clouds. Such a sight would make anyone feel carefree, relaxed and joyful. However, Lin Feng did have the heart to enjoy the sight. He had been uninterruptedly practicing the sword unsheathing skill over and over again. Boom, was the sound emitted by the stones under Lin Feng's sword each time he hit them. Lin Feng's sword left a long and slender opening in the stones each time it hit. Lin Feng had already been training for 7 days. He had been training without rest, which could be seen by the varying sword marks on each stone. Sword unsheathing was a skill which required developing 2 aspects, speed and power. These 2 were the ultimate goal of the practice. At the moment of unsheathing the sword, a strong power was also necessary. As far as the angle at which the sword had to be unsheathed is concerned, unsheathing it at irregular angles was also necessary. Indeed, pulling it out using predictable patterns could put the user at the enemy's mercy, as he could guess what the next movement would be. The sword unsheathing skill was definitely not a regular technique. Lin Feng was dripping with sweat because he had been training every day from morning to evening. Uninterrupted practice was the only way to increase his strength. Persistently repeating the movements required a tenacious and incomparable willpower and determination. That was the only way to become stronger on the path of cultivation. Lin Feng hadn't forgotten his previous life. He couldn't forget. Although that world was filled with lofty sentiments and righteous ardor, one also had to go through hardships in that world. Being weak and lacking power could lead to getting killed. Weak and powerless, that sounded like what Lin Feng was when he almost got killed by Lin Heng. However, Lin Feng's dark spirit was gaining in vitality every minute, like he is in a trance state. He then stopped practicing the skill for a moment and recalled his spirit back into his body. The spirit was the cultivator's soul and it had to be cherished, unceasingly using it consumed one's vital essence too much. Lin Feng put his sword back into its sheath. The sheath was made of a ferocious animal skin which had a sparkling gem embedded. Then, he started training again, but this time he practiced the moonlight feather agility technique. The sun which was once high in the sky was now sinking into the horizon. Lin Feng rested for a while looking at the sea of clouds making wave-like motions. On his face was a resplendent smile. He then unsheathed the sword and held it forward, watching the dark red light from the sunset slowly move down the sword, imagining it as blood flowing endlessly. He felt like a god looking down upon creation. This place gave him a view of the surrounding mountains and the aura he was currently emitting was one of strength with a ruthless coldness beneath. It's about time to find a cave to practice. Lin Feng rested for a while, then got up and walked over to the mountains. It wasn't long until Lin Feng found a few caves for cultivation. They were always occupied by other people though. Then, Lin Feng arrived in a valley where a mountain stream was flowing. He decided to walk along the mountain stream when something drew his attention and made him stop walking. A ray of sunlight between these mountains. Before him were 2 peaks. The middle of these 2 peaks looked like the marks he left when hitting rocks with his sword. It looked very narrow in between as if the path could only accommodate 2 people walking side by side. The path looked as narrow as the ray of sunlight. I wonder what there is over there. Lin Feng thought to himself. He then moved closer with curiosity. It seemed that the mountain stream and the ray of sunlight came from the same place. At a distant place, two disciples saw Lin Feng move towards that ray of sunlight. They couldn't help but laugh at him and criticize him. That piece of trash is not very lucky, he doesn't seem to know that is the place where our senior sister Lu Fei trains. It is quite surprising that he dares go in there. Lu Fei's strength is incomparable to ours, she is much stronger than we are, much stronger than most of our fellow disciples, a true genius. Senior sister is the only correct way of addressing a genius such as her. While the two disciples were whispering, Lin Feng had already walked several hundred meters into the area where the ray of sunlight was coming from and finally arrived. Before his eyes opened up a wide panorama. That place was one of exceptional charm and was extremely vast. On the left was a gigantic lake out of which silk-like hot steam was evaporating. It surprisingly seemed to be a natural hot spring. It's such a nice place, I could have bath. Lin Feng's clothes were sticking to his skin as he had been sweating heavily. He took off his top and directly jumped into the natural hot spring. So comfortable. Lin Feng was filled with happiness when he suddenly heard a noise coming from somewhere in the water. Suddenly, he saw a girl's head come out of the water. Her hair looked very soft. It was a 15 to 16-year-old young girl. She had arched eyebrows and a delicate oval face. She was very beautiful. In this world, female cultivators were very beautiful because they cultivated purer bodies. She was a charming natural beauty and certainly didn't need to put makeup on. Nonetheless, that young girl's eyes didn't make her look very amicable. Her eyes were filled with flames of anger. Lu Fei was holding her breath and practicing in the water. She was very surprised to see another Yunhai sect's disciple. Even more, she couldn't stand seeing him without his top in the water where she practiced every day. "I'm sorry, I didn't know someone was in here," said Lin Feng with an apologetic smile. He then got out of the water and recognized the most beautiful female fellow disciple. Lu Fei's expression hadn't changed though, and she still looked furious. Who didn't know this was Lu Fei's training place after all? Who didn't know the Sunray Mountain was Lu Fei's? That pervert had willingly come with the intention of seducing her. Lin Feng really didn't know someone was there though. In his previous life, Lin Feng was a coward and had never ever come to that side of the region to train. Even though Lu Fei was extremely beautiful, Lin Feng, who indeed did think she was alluring, really had no hidden intentions. He put on his clothes at lightning speed and started leaving. "And where do you think you're going?" heard Lin Feng. That was Lu Fei's voice coming from behind him as he was leaving. Lu Fei had said that with a cold and detached voice. Lin Feng turned around and saw Lu Fei holding a bow and an arrow in her hands. "Where do you think?" said Lin Feng looking at her angrily. He didn't intend to seduce her. It was a mere misunderstanding and nothing more. Also, he had apologized already. She didn't reply. Lu Fei's bewitching body adopted a battle-ready position. She pulled back the arrow placed in the bow in a position ready to shoot. She was ready to let it go. She shot the arrow, which made a whistling sound. The golden arrow broke the air and thrust it towards Lin Feng. How strong! Lin Feng stared at the arrow as it was moving towards him. He had absolutely no hesitation and started his 9 heavy wave technique. Heavy wave explosions were heard while the arrow was getting closer and closer to him. At the moment when the arrow approached so near that it was about to reach him, the arrow and the 9 heavy waves collided. The arrow collapsed into the waves, hung up in the air for a few seconds before falling onto the ground. "Do you want to kill me?" said Lin Feng, whose voice was filled with rage. That arrow had a 7,000 gene power. If it had been Lin Feng's previous life, he would have been dead already. "Yes, so what?" said Lu Fei while pulling out another arrow. An illusory golden arrow suddenly appeared by her side. Lin Feng was shivering out of fear. A sensation of cold spread throughout his body. The illusory arrow was facing him. The illusory arrow was a guided arrow, which meant it could detect if someone was alive and automatically aim at them. The arrow could automatically aim at breathing people. That was one of the particular characteristics and abilities of those who possessed the arrow spirit. Zium. The bowstring emitted a noise while the twinkling arrow moved towards him, getting closer and closer. Moonlight feather agility, Lin Feng jumped 10 meters backwards. Lin Feng had sent another wave into which the golden arrow crashed, what looked like an explosion, but that time the wave had for sole effect to slow down the arrow. It didn't stop it. The noise coming out of the collapse was scary and made Lin Feng's heart palpitate. The arrow was going straight towards Lin Feng's forehead. Lu Fei stood out from her Yunhai sect's fellow disciples and was considered to be out of the ordinary, to be an outstanding disciple. She had reached the 9th Qi layer. Using her arrow spirit, her strength could exceed 9,000 jin. Thus, Lin Feng's 9 heavy waves was obviously not enough to stop her arrow. Lin Feng fell down because of the energy released by the clash of the wave and the arrow. As Lu Fei's arrow spirit could control the arrow, which by the way made the arrow seem alive, she made it turn around and continued to try and kill him. "Ah!" shouted Lin Feng. Suddenly, the twinkling arrow vanished in a bright white light. "I, Lin Feng, will always remember this." The distant voice stupefied Lu Fei. She looked around only to see her arrow cut into 2. Lin Feng had already disappeared from the place. He had left at an amazing speed. "This is the arrow light," whispered Lu Fei. The 2 disciples who had watched the scene all along saw Lin Feng escape. They couldn't help but be seized with terror. Lu Fei surprisingly hadn't killed that piece of trash. Maybe Lu Fei was unwilling to fight and kill him. They had seen Lu Fei's wet clothes stick to her body. They thought about how graceful her body was. She was filled with endless charm. It made them gulp with desire. The only way for them not to drool was to keep their mouth closed. The only thing they could do was to peep and enjoy such a rare scenery. Everyone knew that Lu Fei was very powerful. Within the Yunhai sect, many people courted her. There were some extremely skillful disciples who courted her. The 2 disciples who had just been peeping at her couldn't match with these extremely skillful disciples. If anyone learnt that they had seen Lu Fei's utterly attractive body, they would be killed in a very ugly way. Second release. I hope you will all support this project by spreading the word. I hope you all enjoyed my translation. Thank you. XOBA1 I may release chapter 7 tonight if people enjoy the translations. Please let me know. After some time Lin Feng finally arrived in a safe place. Cold feelings filled his heart. He was thinking about how the strong controlled the world and dominated the weak. He could see from this encounter that those with power in this world have no regard for human life. Indeed, if they felt like killing, then they would just kill, provided they were strong enough. After some time Lin Feng finally arrived in a safe place. Cold feelings filled his heart. He was thinking about how the strong controlled the world and dominated the weak. He could see from this encounter that those with power in this world have no regard for human life. Indeed, if they felt like killing, then they would just kill, provided they were strong enough. He had had no intentions when going to the place where he saw the ray of sunlight inside a cave. He had just gone there to have a look and was going to leave as fast as he had went there. However, Lu Fei had wanted to kill him even though they were both Yunhai sect's disciples. Those who have the arrow spirit have the ability to track people and engage in a battle with them using long-range attacks while keeping their distance. But in the case of a close fight, I certainly would be able to kill her in one hit. Lin Feng thought using the sword was quite a satisfying experience. His speed was as fast as lightning and his strikes like thunder splitting the air. The arrow getting so near and then breaking into 2 was a sign that he hadn't been wasting his time training that much. He hadn't endured all this in vain. Lin Feng had been practicing without interruption for 7 days back then in the mountains over the precipice. Thanks to his dark spirit, he had been able to understand many things. Only at the moment when his spirit had been using too much of his vital essence, he had recalled it back into his body and had then practiced the moonlight feather agility technique. Lu Fei, thought Ling Feng while recalling her beautiful face. He went and picked up a piece of wood and began making a fire to hang his clothes to dry. He was still soaking from the hot spring. Not so far away from Lin Feng appeared 4 shadows. All of them must have been Yunhai sect's disciples. Over there is someone, we should invite him to join us and come along. The more powerful people who join us, the better, said one of them who was wearing light green robes. But you don't know just how powerful he is, right? Said a tall, imposing disciple. Nobody, however, opposed the idea. The group of 4 people was composed of 3 men and 1 girl. While they were walking and approaching Lin Feng, the girl noticed Lin Feng's topless body. She couldn't help but blush. "Hello, can you put your clothes on?" she said to him in a shy voice. Lin Feng looked at the young girl's eyes. Although she wasn't as beautiful as Lu Fei, her face was delicate and pretty. Her skin looked soft and beautiful. In her previous life, she had definitely been a beautiful girl, but Lin Feng thought that girls in that world were much more beautiful than in the previous world because they walked on the path of cultivation. "Okay," said Lin Feng cooperatively. Lin Feng was quite an easygoing person and therefore quickly agreed. Getting along with him was no hard task. "So what's the deal? What do you guys want?" asked Lin Feng while putting his clothes on. "Alright, the situation is as such, we want to go to the Black Wind Mountain and attack some ferocious wild beasts. We'd like to invite you to come with us, in which case we would equally share precious collected items. Are you interested?" explained the young man wearing light green robes. Black Wind Mountain was located northwards of the Yunhai Mountain in the wild beast forest. It was extremely vast. Some disciples conjectured that the Black Wind Mountain was much vaster than the entire Yunhai mountain chain. When the Yunhai sect had chosen to settle in the Yunhai Mountain, they had probably thought of the fact that the Black Wind Mountain was near. After all, wasn't it a perfect place for cultivators to challenge themselves and test their own strength and abilities? Indeed, hunting and killing ferocious wild beasts enabled them to gather useful items while training and improving their life and death experiences at the same time. "Okay, I accept," said Lin Feng without overthinking his answer. He really wanted to go with them and get stronger, by the quickest possible route. "Awesome. That way, we are now 5 people. If we run into level 9 ferocious wild beasts, it won't be a big deal." The young girl was obviously happy that Lin Feng had agreed to join them. The strongest cultivator of the group was a young male disciple wearing white robes, who wasn't very talkative. He had reached the 8th chi layer. The other 3 had reached the 7th chi layer. They, including Lin Feng, were all Yunhai sect's disciples. The 3 others had reached the 7th chi layer, just like Lin Feng. Therefore, they had at least some talent, unlike his former self. Ferocious wild beasts are divided into 9 levels compared to the 9 chi layers. Therefore, they all hoped not to encounter a level 9 ferocious wild beast, or even stronger, which would put them in a risky and dangerous situation. "Younger brother, that guy there is my fellow disciple Han Man. The girl there is my fellow disciple Jing Yun, and the guy there is my fellow disciple Jing Feng. He is also the strongest cultivator in our group," explained the young man in light green robes. The big and tall young man, called Han Man, and the young girl, called Jing Yun, gave a brief smile to Lin Feng. The toughest of them, the young man wearing white robes, looked at Lin Feng in an apathetic, nonchalant and indifferent way. "My name is Lin Feng," said Lin Feng while smiling. "Lin Feng the piece of trash," said the young man wearing white clothes known as Jing Feng. These were the first words he had said since their encounter. Lin Feng gave him a sarcastic smile. "Jing Yun, junior sister, it looks like we've been wasting our time. Dragging him around will be an absolute burden." The other 3 had obviously already heard Lin Feng's name before. There are many Yunhai sect's disciples, and even though they may never have met Lin Feng, they have all heard his name. Lin Feng frowned. The three others, considering the awkward situation, looked embarrassed. Lin Feng, younger brother, Jing Feng is a talented man of high abilities. He has reached the 8th Qi layer on the way of cultivation. It is hard for him to put his arrogance aside. Don't lower yourself to his level. Act as if you hadn't heard him, just ignore his remark. We are here because we want to get together. The tall and young man, called Han Man, comforted Lin Feng, against all expectations. He spoke honestly without being afraid of revealing his feelings. Exactly, my senior fellow is right, said both Qing Yi and Jing Yun, approving their fellow disciples' words. The young man wearing white clothes, Jing Feng, eventually groaned yet said nothing. Lin Feng saw the three others were sincere, which comforted his feelings. He also didn't refuse to join them. Thus, the 5 of them left and started walking over to the mountains. They eventually arrived at the Black Wind Mountain. Lin Feng, the Black Wind Mountain covers an extremely vast area. I am afraid only Yunhai sect's teachers and most experienced cultivators really know how big it is. We should always stay on the outer edges. Lin Feng nodded. He knew from the beginning that Han Man was a man of wise words and didn't intend to disagree with him whatsoever. The Black Wind Mountain's foliage was dense, filled with grass, trees, thistles and thorns. Its trees were very thick and dense, which allowed for adequate places to hide. It was also a small heaven for ferocious wild beasts. Level 5 Breeze Wolf, catch him, said Han Man suddenly. A pair of shiny eyes could be seen inside a shrub. Qing Yi pulled out his sword from his back. His sword had the color of the moon. It looked like silver mercury was flowing out of it onto the ground. Tsh, a light sound was emitted by the Qing Yi's sword as he stroked the Breeze Wolf's head. He had killed it in one hit. Breeze Wolf, killed in a wonderful way, as expected, said Han Man while laughing cheerfully. Han Man went to help Qing Yi to pick up useful items the level 5 ferocious wild beast contained. Level 5 ferocious wild beast, that's all, said the white-robed and arrogant Jing Feng, in a disdainful and apathetic tone. Lin Feng shook his head when he heard these words. He has only reached the 8th Qi layer. Although he was more than an ordinary cultivator, which did make him talented, he didn't count as a genius of an extraordinary level. Being arrogant and considering everything and everyone as worthless and inferior didn't suit his limited success. They gathered the items and continued walking. Every once in a while, they would meet a ferocious wild beast, but all of them hadn't exceeded level 7, so they were all quite easy to dispose of. Ha, the bag is getting heavier and heavier. We already have 30 to 40 items. The harvest is not too bad, said the tall and sturdy Han Man, who was in charge of carrying the bag. He couldn't help but smile as the weight of the bag increased. But we already walked a few dozen kilometers inside the Black Wind Mountain. We may encounter stronger and stronger ferocious wild animals. We should be careful. If it gets too difficult, we should retreat, reminded Qing Yi. I understand, replied Han Man while staring into the distance. Level 8 ferocious wild beast, it is a brutal ape, whispered Han Man while looking in the front. The beast that appeared had a colossal body. Brutal apes are known to be extremely violent and famous for having a matchless strength that could rip apart a tiger. It is one of the strongest beasts on the edges of the forest. Jing Feng, I'll stay by your side, Jing Yun said to Jing Feng. A level 8 ferocious wild beast couldn't hurt Jing Feng. He was much stronger than them in comparison. Hee, Jing Yun, why are you worried? It seems that there's someone enjoying the fruits of our work. He hasn't been battling at all. Does he really intend to keep relying on us without moving a single finger, said Jing Feng harshly while glancing wickedly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng laughed sarcastically. He intended to rely on them without doing anything. He hadn't fought yet because Han Man and Qing Yi had always taken the initiative to go to the front battle. They had always been the quickest to jump head first into battle. In case of real danger, would he watch with folded arms, without being affected and not lifting one finger? In the case they would meet a level 8 ferocious wild beast, Jing Feng wanted to let Lin Feng fight it. After all, in Jing Feng's eyes, Lin Feng was nothing but a piece of trash. A piece of trash couldn't fight a level 8 beast, which meant the final outcome would be his death. Jing Feng, what do you mean? Except for you, none of us is able to fight a level 8 ferocious wild beast. If you let Lin Feng fight one of them, isn't the same as killing him, said Qing Yi, who was obviously not happy to hear what Jing Feng had just said. Not doing anything and sharing our items with us, isn't it cheap? If he died, wouldn't we have more for ourselves, said Jing Feng in a disdainful tone. Jing Feng, we came together so we should stick and progress together. Lin Feng trusts us so we must stay together, said Han Man in a clearly bad mood. Huh. If you want to protect him, that's fine, but I don't want to take care of that piece of trash for free, said Jing Feng still in a cold and detached voice. At that moment, the brutal ape was already coming towards them. I will try, said Lin Feng a few steps away from the level 8 ferocious wild beast. That beast's strength was equivalent to that of a cultivator who'd reached the 8th chi layer. Lin Feng wanted to challenge himself and see who really was the strongest. You can't. If you fight a level 8 ferocious wild beast, you will die, said Jing Yun very worried. Jing Feng, you're too pathetic. Hearing these words, Jing Feng's face became really angry. He looked at Jing Yun's lithe and graceful body in a vicious manner. If you were not a beautiful girl, I would have already disciplined you. I'm coming to help you, said Han Man while putting down the bag full of items. He then went to Lin Feng's side. Count me in as well, said Qing Yi doing the same as Han Man, and me as well. Are the three of us able to defeat that ferocious wild beast? Said Jing Yun silently praying in her head. You are overestimating yourselves and your abilities, said Jing Feng behind them while laughing in an arrogant way. The level 8 brutal ape is a very aggressive and extraordinary strong beast. A few cultivators who have reached the 7th chi layer cannot defeat such a monster. Lin Feng glanced at those who had joined him and felt had a warm feeling deep in his heart. He warmly smiled at them. Scratching his nose to express his lack of confidence, Lin Feng said, perhaps, I can't fight this ferocious wild beast, only perhaps. As promised, here is chapter 7. Thank you for the support XOXO. Someone asked me to put this on Reddit. My account is still new so I am unable to post for 7 days. If someone is willing to post the links on Reddit for me, it would help me out a bunch. We are still very new so any help with posting in the correct places would really help us. Thank you all so much. XO soon. Little Pan Pan should have selected a novel to translate, which is something exciting to look forward to. Chapter 8. Hell Wolf. Lin Feng's words made Jing Yun stupefied. The two others, they glanced at Lin Feng with astonishment. Immediately after that, they saw Lin Feng dash forward without hesitation. Lin Feng, this is not the right situation to show off your abilities, Jing Yun said worryingly. Even though they had never seen Lin Feng in a fight, they all knew he was well known for being a piece of trash. Even if these days, Lin Feng had been exerting himself to train really hard, his level was at most the same as theirs, but he wanted to see if his strength matched that of a level 8 brutal ape. How could that be possible? It was too late, he had already dashed forward before anyone could stop him. The brutal ape saw that he actually had the audacity and impertinence to move forward to attack. It stamped furiously on the ground with its thick muscular legs, making the ground vibrate under its steps, as its colossal body was speedily advancing towards Lin Feng. The brutal ape had vicious eyes as it charged forward, gaining more speed. It looked like a mountain of thick furred muscle was trying to charge Lin Feng, creating earthquakes in its path. It seemed that Lin Feng didn't know how strong the level 8 demonic beast was, which made Jing Yun's heart jump with fright. Jing Yun was so frightened that she could barely breathe. The beast was brazenly rushing towards Lin Feng. Jing Yun had the feeling that Lin Feng was going to be trampled and crushed beneath the ape's thick muscular legs. She was so scared that she closed her eyes, unable to watch the horrifying scene. Boom! A titanic shockwave trembled throughout the air. Jing Yun, whose eyes were closed, clearly felt the entire space shake and vibrate. Then, she heard the brutal ape roar in a violent rage. When she opened her eyes, she just saw the brutal ape lying on its back 3 meters away. Lin Feng had silently moved back to her side, looking miraculously unharmed. It seemed it had been no problem at all. How is that possible? Jing Yun couldn't believe her eyes. Lin Feng hadn't suffered the slightest injury during the collision with the brutal ape. She looked at Qing Yi and Han Man only to see that their eyes were as wide open and filled with astonishment just like her. They had seen with their own eyes that Lin Feng had repelled the brutal ape with ease. That scene had shocked them to the core. However, that was a level 8 monster. Without a basic power of 8,000 gene, it would have been impossible to defeat the brutal ape, let alone defeat it with seemingly no effort. Behind, Jing Feng was also stunned, stumped for words. The piece of trash had repelled a brutal ape. Unbelievable. Level 8 brutal ape, it should have high-quality leather and plenty of thick meat, whispered Lin Feng. These days, he had reached the 7th Qi layer and his practice had solid foundations. Added to that, he had mastered the 9 heavy waves technique which allowed him the strength of 8,500 gene. Besides, the essence of the 9 heavy waves technique was determined by the accumulation of powerful shock waves combining to produce an explosion of power many times greater than the original waves. Therefore the waves, at the moment when they hit the brutal ape, must have reached an explosive power close to 9,000 gene. At that moment though, the brutal ape stood back up, letting out a blood-curdling roar and sending itself into a frenzy. Lin Feng dashed forward, closer to the roaring brutal ape. He started using his 9 heavy waves again and thrust his arm out emitting a loud boom. The brutal ape's body was colossal, making it impossible to avoid the attack in time. Thus, it had no choice but take the attack head-on and resist as much damage as possible. "Let me test my skills on you," said Lin Feng while calmly walking towards the brutal ape. Suddenly his left fist thrust forward, violent waves began to combine and rush up his arm and out of his fist. Boom! Crack! A violent cracking sound like the snapping of twigs quickly followed. Jing Yun and the others were all astonished at the scene. Brutal ape? At that moment, Lin Feng was even more brutal and beast-like than the brutal ape. Unceasingly punching using his technique 9 heavy waves, showing no signs of stopping. The vibrations in the air were sweeping over several hundred miles. Layer upon layer of insanely oppressive waves were sweeping over the area, which demonstrated to everyone exactly how powerful he was. He's really making full use of the 9 heavy waves technique. He's using it in such a skillful way. The power is on a completely different level. He has brought his technique to the point of perfection, which many are not capable of reaching in this lifetime. Qing Yi definitely didn't think Lin Feng could be called a piece of trash. The air is still full of Lin Feng's power, the waves are not stopping. I've heard that understanding how to use and control 9 heavy waves to higher levels is extremely difficult. Lin Feng's natural talent is amazing, said Jing Yun looking lost in thought. Monstrous, said Han Man scratching his face and looking gloomy. Bzzzzz, the shaking feeling stopped and the area became calm again. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the 3 others. "You guys come pick up the precious items, I am too exhausted." "Oh," said Han Man realizing the brutal ape was already a beaten corpse. His lip was trembling with excitement at the precious materials. Taking all of the precious items from the brutal ape's body required great strength. Its skin was extremely thick. Even though it was dead, it was extremely difficult to split its skin open. Lin Feng must have transformed into something not of this world considering how he had violently slaughtered the brutal ape. "Ha, Lin Feng, you're monstrously skillful. Let's just hope we do not come across level 9 ferocious wild beasts though, we might not be able to stop them," Han Man said while laughing cheerfully. He then put the items in the bag and put it on his back. Lin Feng laughed and said, "Let's keep moving forward, perhaps we'll come across some more level 8 ferocious wild beasts." That was just a stroke of luck. That beast couldn't strike back, said a sarcastic voice coming from behind them. They then saw Jing Feng walk past and walk ahead. Jing Feng, Yu, Jing Yun and the two others looked furious. That guy really had a spiteful mouth. Twisting the story like that. The group continued to walk. While Jing Feng was walking in the front and was expecting ferocious wild beasts to come out allowing him to demonstrate his superior skills, but no living thing would approach, there were no signs of life in any direction. Jing Feng was furious. It seems like something is wrong here, Lin Feng said. That part of the forest, compared to other parts, was exaggeratedly calm and quiet. Something is wrong indeed. Qing Yi and the two others, who had been walking quite fast, started to slow down and noticed Jing Feng, who was walking ahead, was coming back closer to them. Everyone was looking at Jing Feng and suddenly a hell wolf appeared in front of him. The wolf had a hideous twisted face. It looked like a demon. Seeing the face of a hell wolf was so unbearable that Jing Yun covered her mouth with both hands. She started shaking out of pure fear. The hell wolf is a level 9 ferocious wild beast. Within the group of ordinary beasts, he is by far the cruelest one. It likes to eat people slowly one bite after the other without immediately killing them, which makes your death a long and excruciating 1 inch, said Qing Yi with a trembling voice. It seemed that they had just run into the one monster that every cultivator feared the most when coming to the Black Wind Mountain, the hell wolf. Not only was the hell wolf extremely cruel, but it was also so quick that it was near impossible to escape from it. Piece of trash, we're fighting this one together. You use your 9 heavy waves to distract him, while I look for every opportunity to kill him, said Jing Feng while stepping back towards the others. His voice was deep and forceful. He was obviously talking to Lin Feng. Piece of trash. You want me to come distract him so that you can find an opportunity to escape with your tail between your legs? Lin Feng said with a grin, you attempted to throw me to my death, you thought I was just going to trust you? You have no choice, otherwise everyone will die, said Jing Feng boiling with rage, while continuing to move backwards. I don't think that way though. It seems like you haven't fought yet. You want to live off us without moving a single finger. I am not willing to feed a piece of trash for free though, said Lin Feng, his grin getting bigger. Lin Feng had thrown Jing Feng's own words back in his face. While talking, Lin Feng glanced at the others who were standing by him to make them retreat to a safe distance. Jing Yun and the two others retreated without a second thought. The hell wolf they were facing would only kill them if they confronted him. Besides, Jing Feng's recent behavior had bitterly disappointed them. Free from affectation, they were not going to rush ahead and help. All right, said Jing Feng while looking at them in anger. A sharp slice of air was suddenly formed by a bright and splendid sharp sword which appeared behind Jing Feng's body. Sword spirit. Lin Feng was astounded. No wonder that guy was so arrogant. Amongst all the spirits that existed, the sword spirit was one of the strongest and most powerful spirits. Those who possessed the sword spirit could carry out powerful sword attacks and kill in one hit. Because the sword spirit was a powerful one, many cultivators who didn't possess the sword spirit practiced hard to develop their sword skills. For example, Qing Yi, who possessed a wind spirit, was extremely quick, which enabled him to be skillful and agile at using a sword. The long sword was unsheathed and such a dazzling gleam shone that it blinded everyone. The hell wolf roared and suddenly threw himself towards the others. Its sharp claws refracted tiny rays of light. The sword, which looked like a rainbow, and the cold sharp claws of the hell wolf collided, emitting a thunderous sharp metallic sound. Its claws are quite sharp, thought Lin Feng to himself. The hell wolf was, as expected, not an ordinary beast. The sharp claws of the hell wolf and the sword had collided with each other. The hell wolf was so powerful that its strength had thrown Jing Feng 10 meters backwards. A big crater appeared where they clashed. Jing Feng had obviously endured an exceptionally powerful attack. As the hell wolf's claws were about to touch the ground, it had already jumped again, not allowing Jing Feng chance to relax. It moved fast as a lightning. Jing Feng moved his sword, letting neither wind nor rain pass through to him in a pattern that looked similar to a spider web. He then stepped back and found out that the hell wolf had eventually disappeared from his sight. Above, Jing Feng was absolutely horrified. He had absolutely no hesitation. He threw his long sword high in the air and rapidly moved back. Bastard! Cursed Jing Yun. Jing Feng simply couldn't win against the hell wolf, so he threw his sword and escaped without caring about the others. If I die, you will die too. Jing Feng's facial expression was hideous. He went towards them. Fuck off. Lin Feng said and used his 9 heavy waves and thrust his fist towards Jing Feng. Lin Feng's waves were so powerful that Jing Feng got thrown back. Immediately after that, Jing Feng gave a blood-curdling scream. The hell wolf's claws were deep into his back, blood splashed and he fell down onto the ground. You want to die? Said Lin Feng, whose facial expression was ice-cold. If you abandoned others, they'd abandon you. In Lin Feng's case, if you attacked him, he'd strike back. Ow ow woo. The hell wolf was howling. He let loose wild shrieks and howls. Its claws were still on Jing Feng's body on the ground. It was not hurrying to kill Jing Feng. The hell wolf's cold eyes were looking at Lin Feng, which gave everyone the chills. What's to be done? The wolf is hurting him but not killing him because it likes to kill its prey slowly. It likes to make its prey suffer to an extreme extent, said Qing Yi while looking at Jing Feng, seeing that he was unable to fight it anymore. It gave Qing Yi a dreadful sensation. What is the hell wolf's weakness? Asked Lin Feng suddenly. Qing Yi looked at Lin Feng in a surprised way. The hell wolf is a very quick attacker, its attacks are strong and powerful. It can't protect itself very well. Its neck is especially vulnerable, but it can use its sharp claws to protect itself. If you want to reach its neck, you must deal with its claws first, said Qing Yi while his forehead was dripping with sweat. Lin Feng's 9 heavy waves could cover a large area and had an insanely strong power. 9 heavy waves wasn't a quick attack. For him to avoid the hell wolf's claws and reach its neck seemed like an impossible task. They were trapped. If they tried to escape, the hell wolf would catch them with ease. They could only stay and watch as they one by one were tortured to death. Lin Feng, to everyone's surprise, took a step forward accidentally while still in thought. The hell wolf's ears pricked and it was now coldly glaring at the group, its razor-sharp claws dripping blood. Arg! Lin Feng had noticed his mistake while stepping forwards. Arg! Lin Feng had noticed his mistake while stepping forwards. He had just made a small step. It scared Jing Yun gulped as the fear welled up in her throat. What did Lin Feng intend to do? The hell wolf was the second cruelest beast after the soul spirit beast. Even some of the most skilled cultivators who reached the 9th chi layer would have no other choice but to run and escape from a hell wolf. Without taking the time to tell them what he was about to do, Lin Feng had started running towards the hell wolf, gaining more and more speed with each step. Seeing what was happening, Jing Yun was overcome with fear. The others were also terrified beyond belief. Ah woo! The hell wolf started howling in surprise when it saw Lin Feng was running directly towards him. The hell wolf's demon-like face looked hideous. Its eyes were gleaming with an extremely cold light. The sight would chill even experienced warriors. The hell wolf, whose claws were still slowly piercing in and out of Jing Feng's body, jumped in the air with a blood-curdling howl. Its body slowly turned black and a brilliant white light began glowing over its body, covering its whole black body in a white radiance. Lin Feng! Come back! Shouted Jing Yun, but it was already too late. Lin Feng started using his moonlight feather agility and his speed sharply increased to reach the highest speed possible. Qing Yi and Han Man were so frightened that they were frozen stiff. Their hearts were beating so fast that it seemed like time had stopped for a moment. They did not have any time to realize what was happening before the fight had already started. An amazingly bright meteor-like streak suddenly appeared in the air in front of the wolf. When the light vanished, it seemed like time had stopped. Feng had stopped moving, all signs of life were gone. The hell wolf landed triumphantly with a growl. Silence. Jing Yun's hands were covering her mouth. She looked on at the scene terrified. Feng was actually dead. It was suddenly so quiet. Garewu. The hell wolf fell down on its side with shock filling its eyes. On its neck was a mark, which looked like an extremely thin red silk thread out of which was flowing a small endless stream of blood. The hell wolf died, said Han Man and Qing Yi while looking at the scene before them, gasping with astonishment. Feng, how do you feel? Asked Jing Yun, whose voice was febrile, while looking at Feng who was still standing on his feet but no longer moving, not even a sign of breathe could be seen. Jing Yun's voice dropped in intensity. Qing Yi and Han Man were also very nervous to see Feng like that. They had seldom been that nervous. Finally, Feng moved. He slowly turned around. His eyes were sparkling and he was grinning wholeheartedly. I'm fine, said Feng, spreading his arms out in a stretching motion. He remembered the instant he had attacked. Sword unsheathing, it had looked a silver firefly streaking across the sky. It was lightning fast with such unbelievable power. One of the prerequisites of the sword unsheathing skill was, of course, to be faster than the opponent. Feel. Jing Yun let out a sigh of relief. They could finally relax again. They had the feeling that they were back to themselves, the same as when they originally met Feng in the mountains. Instead of talking, they were looking at Feng as if he was a monster. Why are you looking at me like that? Said Feng, embarrassed while scratching his face. The way they were looking at him made him feel like he had forgotten to put on clothes. It was unnerving. Metamorphosis. Han Man, whose teeth were clenched, said only that one word. Feng was quite puzzled by the fact that Ing Jun and Qing Yi were solemnly nodding, showing that they felt the same as Han Man. Feng, you have a sword spirit. Qing Yi obviously knew that the light which streaked through the air a moment ago had been caused by a sword. Only a sword could have been that quick. You're misunderstanding, I just learned a sword skill, nodded Feng. Only those who had the sword spirit and a powerful sword could master sword skills. I'm misunderstanding. How could it be that you don't have a sword spirit? Asked Qing Yi, showing obvious suspicion. I really don't have a sword spirit, said Feng, shaking his head. Qing Yi breathed in a mouthful of cold air. How could someone who didn't have a sword spirit use a sword at the speed of lightning? Feng's skills were terrifying. For example, his 9 heavy waves technique, he could already master that technique at the highest possible level of achievement. I am suspecting you are able to practice and use skills belonging to all categories. Am I right? Asked Qing Yi, forcing a timid smile while shaking his head. He hadn't asked what Feng's spirit was though. After all, there were some people whose spirits were so strong and powerful that it enabled them to use skills belonging to different categories. Those kind of people would not share the true identity of their spirits. Besides, Feng hadn't even used his spirit so far. Therefore, it made it difficult for Qing Yi to guess what Feng's spirit was. Feng was just smiling. At that moment, it indeed seemed like Feng was able to learn and practice any kind of skill. Besides, it also seemed that he had a strong learning ability. A level 9 ferocious wild beast. This time we're collecting lots of precious items, said Han Man with a smile on his face. He took out his dagger and started carving up the precious materials from the body of the beast while talking. Feng, you killed that hell wolf on your own. If you hadn't been here, then we'd be dead by now. These materials are yours and only yours. Jing Yun, Qing Yi, you have no objection to that, right? Qing Yi and Jing Yun smiled and agreed. If Ling Feng hadn't been there, they would have died a cruel and horrifying death. I don't agree. Everything we picked up from the beasts until now should be divided equally among the four of us, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. When the others thought he was a weak cultivator, they made him walk behind them. Even though the entire reward could be his for killing the hell wolf on his own, Lin Feng wasn't the kind of person who saw profit and forgot morality. They all saw Lin Feng had determination in his eyes and nodded one after the other and said, "All right. You guys seem like you've forgotten about me," said a weak voice. It was Jing Feng. Who else could it be? Jing Feng had been attacked by the hell wolf and his back had been shredded into pieces. The hell wolf had trampled him and crushed his bones. At that moment, Jing Feng was unable to get back on his feet and was looking up at Lin Feng and the others from his pitiful state on the ground. "Damn it! Get lost!" said Han Man, extremely aggressively cursing at Jing Feng. Not only had that bastard let them fight against the brutal ape alone, even though it was extremely dangerous, but he was also the one who had led the hell wolf towards them and had forced them to deal with it even though they could have died. "Let's go. He can put his life in the hands of the gods," said Jing Yun, who was furious. As the four of them were about to leave, they heard Jing Feng say in a ghastly tone, "You guys shouldn't forget that my older brother knows that we came to the Black Wind Mountain together. If I die and that you get out of here alive, what is my brother going to think?" Han Man and the others stopped walking and turned around looking at Jing Feng with hesitation. "The best solution is for you to bring me back and share the precious items with me. Otherwise, you will die." "What's going on?" asked Lin Feng. That guy was half dead yet still insane enough to arrogantly threaten them. His brother, Jing Hao, is one of the best disciples, currently 6th on the rankings. He's an extremely powerful cultivator who has reached the 9th Qi layer. He also has a sword spirit. He's extremely strong, explained Qing Yi to Lin Feng, who immediately understood. Lin Feng started walking and went towards Jing Feng with an ice-cold smile on his face. "Trash, help me get up," said Jing Feng, ordering Lin Feng. Lin Feng was stupefied and with something like a smile yet not a smile on his face said to Jing Feng, "I really admire your courage." Lin Feng's voice dropped. He unsheathed his soft sword. Lin Feng was emitting a cold blood-chilling glare. "What are you going to do?" asked Jing Feng, feeling oppressed from head to foot, feeling a chill run down his spine. "Lin Feng," shouted Qing Yi. Jing Hao was an amazing disciple, the 6th best cultivator of the sect. He was extremely strong. Even though Lin Feng was extremely strong as well, his level was still low after all. Qing Yi didn't think that Lin Feng could offend Jing Hao. Lin Feng looked at Qing Yi and the two others and asked them, "In view of his behavior, do you think that if we rescue him, he will just let us off?" The group's faces all instantly froze. Cold sweat was flowing down their back. Indeed, Jing Feng's expression was obviously revealing that if they rescued him, he was most likely planning something sinister. "We have never offended him. He thinks he is always in the right. Then, he'll make false charges against us again. That will be our end. Not only has he not mended his attitude, but he also ordered us to save him. On top of that, he also wants us to equally share all our items with him. Do you still want to save such a person?" Lin Feng patiently explained these things to them. Even though they were all precocious, they were all only 15 to 16 after all. Lin Feng, who had gone through a lot, in his previous and current life, had more experience. The three others all nodded to what Lin Feng had said. They were indeed scared that if they brought Jing Feng back, Jing Hao would seek revenge for Jing Feng. Lin Feng turned around, looked at Jing Feng and saw that he was, at last, frightened. "I swear that if you bring me back, I will not seek revenge, and also I will not ask you to share any of the gathered items," said Jing Feng while crawling pathetically on the floor. "It's too late." Lin Feng unsheathed his sword, which flashed in a dazzling gleam and cut off Jing Feng's throat. "When your life is at stake, who would trust your words?" If only Jing Feng had seen his errors earlier, he may have received mercy. Lin Feng was looking at Jing Feng, his eyes were open, but no life could be seen, they just stared at Lin Feng in shock. Lin Feng's heart was pounding. Of course, on such a journey, blood and corpses were hardly avoidable things, but he was still inexperienced. If Jing Hao comes and looks for you, tell him the truth, tell him that I'm the one who killed Jing Feng, said Lin Feng looking indifferent while smiling. Lin Feng was not scared of Jing Hao just because he had reached the 9th Qi layer. I felt like giving everyone something in the morning to brighten their day. Since I have had a few comments and personal messages, I would like to clarify some things. My name's not Alice, that is the translator who worked on the first 4 chapters. So the 4 messages I have moderated saying I need to learn better English, well these do not really apply to me. Yes, my grammar is terrible, I am well aware of that. English is actually my first language and I work as a translator as a living. The sentence structure of this story is extremely hard to adapt to English without major rewrites, so I cannot just rewrite the whole story for you. You are free to go machine translate at any point in time. I am translating for money. This one is what angered me the most. Yes, I have bonus chapters available, alongside my regular releases. So far I have released 5 chapters in 4 days, with around 9 hours of work, and my donations were $27 total. My fee for this as a business document would be around $110 per chapter, and that is not including the unique terminology and naming which needs to be done because of the genre, which would make me charge more. I live in London, England. I have a well-paid job and no reason to translate this other than to benefit all of you. I can happily stop at any point. The amount of hate messages I have received are not welcome. If you have a problem, I am sure you can dedicate the next 2 years of your life to learning a new language. Looking at Lin Feng as if he was an unreachable hero, Han Man grinned. We're like brothers. You killed Jing Feng. We would not have had the conviction to act. We will all share the responsibility for it. People may call me many things, but no one has ever called me a coward. Looking at Lin Feng as if he was an unreachable hero, Han Man grinned. We're like brothers. You killed Jing Feng. We would not have had the conviction to act. We will all share the responsibility for it. People may call me many things, but no one has ever called me a coward. He had easily grasped the real reason why Lin Feng had killed Jing Feng. He had done everything with his own hands as he didn't want to get them involved in any future trouble. Han Man felt true admiration for Lin Feng. Lin Feng's heart was true and his kind actions made his pure intentions easily seen through. Exactly, if there are consequences then we can share the burden together. Besides, Yunhai sect's disciples are not permitted to kill each other, so we are safe within the sect. Even if Jing Hao was suspicious that we had killed Jing Feng, he could not retaliate, Qing Yi determined. Do not forget about me, I am also with Lin Feng until the end, said Jing Yun blushing. Her smile was particularly beautiful at this moment. All right, said Lin Feng, happy to have made such good friends. Qing Yi was right. Even though the Yunhai sect didn't mind things happening outside of the sect, they had still imposed strict restrictions within the sect in order to stop anyone causing any problems. Lin Feng crouched down and started searching Jing Feng's body looking for the things he had been carrying. He took out a book. It was a skill book. Roaring Thunder, Sword Skill. Lin Feng opened the skill book while whispering the name of the skill. Roaring Thunder was a yellow level skill. If the skill was mastered to perfection, each hit would look like a lightning strike followed by an explosive roar of thunder. The roar would travel in the trajectory of the sword with tremendous destructive power. Roaring Thunder is a sword skill from the Xingqian Pavilion. Jing Feng's 2 brothers had recommended this to practice. It is a powerful skill but is particularly hard to learn and master to the point where you can always make roars of thunder appear. I also practiced that skill but I failed to grasp its concept. My power when using it is limited, explained Qing Yi. Qing Yi was training to become a sword cultivator, therefore he had read many of the sword skill books previously. Lin Feng simply nodded. He had only been practicing 3 skills, 9 heavy waves as both an offensive and a defensive technique, the indispensable movement technique Moonlight Feather Agility and sword Unsheathing, which enabled him to swiftly strike with monstrous killing power. If he practiced Roaring Thunder, he could combine it harmoniously with 9 heavy waves and at the same time achieve a new power which could possibly overcome the sword Unsheathing skill. Are we going back now? Jing Yun asked Lin Feng. These days, they all considered Lin Feng as the leader of the group. Since we're already here, why hurry back? Wouldn't it be better to look for more ferocious beasts to hunt, said Lin Feng, who didn't want to go back to the sect early. In the Black Wind Mountain, he could get battle experience and practice the Roaring Thunder skill at the same time. Wasn't it much better this way? The others didn't have anything to fear by staying. Lin Feng was there with them, provided they didn't run into extremely strong ferocious beasts, they wouldn't be in any danger, especially now that Lin Feng had shown his true power. There was no need to hurry back to the sect. If we could get some profound pills in exchange for the materials we have collected, that'd be good, said Jing Yun, looking forward to harvesting more ferocious beasts. A profound pill was a pill which helped improve a cultivator's training and enabled them to reach higher chi layers. It was an extremely useful item for cultivators. However, it required killing lots of ferocious beasts in order to get a single profound pill. Items which were tradable for a profound pill could only be found in higher-level ferocious beasts, making it extremely dangerous. Lin Feng's eyes were shining. He remembered how useful a single profound pill could be to lower-level disciples. Even though he was able to defeat level 8 ferocious beasts with little effort, he was still at the 7th chi layer, which was still only an average level within the disciples. If he could reach the next chi layer, he maybe wouldn't have to rely on the sword Unsheathing skill anymore and would be able to defeat a cultivator who had already reached the 9th chi layer. 5 days later, in the middle of the thick and dense forest, powerful roars were heard from Ling Feng's sword. Small explosive sounds were crackling in the air all around. The sounds produced by the sword still made Jing Yun jump from fright. Boom, boom. Trees were splintering and bursting apart from contact with the thunderous roars. Lin Feng was using his sword so gracefully and elegantly that it seemed like the sword was dancing in the air. You would not be able to tell from a glance that his sword held such a terrifying power. Being able to use the Roaring Thunder skill like this after 5 days, he really is a monster, said Qing Yi while making a wry smile and observing from a safe distance. He had also practiced sword skills and had already practiced the Roaring Thunder sword skill. He knew how difficult it was to use. Lin Feng had been practicing for 5 days and every single hit produced a loud explosive sound. That was an astonishing achievement. Qing Yi's heart was feeling heavy watching this. Don't compare yourself with Lin Feng. He is using a clouded leopard as part of his training, said Han Man with both hands crossed over his chest while looking at the fight between Lin Feng and the clouded leopard. What made Lin Feng so terrifying is that he could have killed the ferocious beast at any time, but instead was using it for training. He was so quick at using the sword that it seemed like an invisible wall appeared in front of him, blocking anything which approached. Even if the clouded leopard was extremely quick, there was no way it could match Lin Feng's speed. "Echa!" shouted Lin Feng cheerfully while stabbing the clouded leopard in the head, causing its head to rumble then violently explode into pieces. Lin Feng sheathed his sword with a smile. He was extremely satisfied with the Roaring Thunder skill. The skill had reached a level now where it made the roaring sound with each strike. If Lin Feng managed to perfectly master the skill, it would be even stronger than 9 heavy waves. Its biggest advantage was that it was an attack of pure oppressive force. Lin Feng's face looked delicate and his facial features gave a handsome yet gentle feeling. In comparison with what he looked like in his previous life, he looked more refined. Han Man started picking up the precious items from the corpse of the leopard while mumbling that his original intention was to come to improve his own skills, hunt and kill some ferocious beasts, but now he was just collecting the precious items Lin Feng had left behind. He was not unhappy though, as he was benefiting a lot from watching Lin Feng fight against level 7 and 8 ferocious beasts. Han Man, how many profound pills can we get in exchange of the materials we collected from the beasts? Lin Feng asked. 13 at least, said Han Man, whose eyes were filled with excitement. They hadn't imagined that they would collect so many items. That was all thanks to Lin Feng. If Lin Feng hadn't been there, then it would have been difficult to kill level 7 ferocious beasts. Very good, we can each have 3 profound pills. We can exchange the other materials for useful items or weapon. Now, we can go back to the sect and enjoy our hard work. Profound pellets were a very efficient way to increase a person's power on the path of cultivation. Pills were most effective the first 3 times. After each pill the qi within the body would begin to show resistance. The first pill would cause the body to overflow with qi and the probability to reach the next qi layer would be extremely high. Each following pill the effect would greatly decrease, and after the third the pill effects would be minimal. 3 profound pills. Han Man and the others were all extremely happy. There were many pills to choose from and they would have the opportunity to cultivate to the 8th qi layer with the help of pills. Within the Yunhai sect, the lowest cultivators are at the 5th qi layer. Disciples who had reached the 7th qi layer were also considered average. Only those who had reached the 8th qi layer received the full benefits from the sect. During those days with Lin Feng they had started to understand his personality and how he acted. He was determined on his path of cultivation and had an incredible godlike aura which radiated from him at all times. Let's go back, said Lin Feng. The first thing they did after returning to the sect was go and exchange their precious items for 12 profound pills, which each of them were given 3. Lin Feng also exchanged some extra materials for a long sword. Han Man got himself a new axe. Qing Yi exchanged items for 2 earth profound pills which would strengthen one's basics on the foundation of cultivation. Qing Yi was finally aware that the foundation of his cultivation was not strong enough. What Jing Yun exchanged with her items somewhat surprised Lin Feng: beauty pills. These profound pills were used to make a woman more attractive and beautiful. If an evil woman used beauty pills, they would not have a great effect as it would reflect the nature of their qi essence. Jing Yun, however, was a very pure and innocent girl and it would have an increased effect on her beauty. Lin Feng didn't understand why she had chosen beauty pills as she was already incredibly beautiful to him. Why are you looking at me that way? Jing Yun asked Lin Feng, who could not stop staring at her. She couldn't help but blush and look away. Nothing, it's just that you're already very beautiful. I do not feel you should change in any way, said Lin Feng, who suddenly looked very embarrassed before starting to laugh awkwardly. Since Jing Yun had chosen the beauty pill, who was he to intervene? Lin Feng, do you plan to go back? Han Man asked Lin Feng. He was thinking that if they had the opportunity, Lin Feng and he could go back to Black Wind Mountain together and collect even more materials. Let's practice and improve our skills first. I think being at the 7th qi layer is still too low within the sect, said Lin Feng. It was indeed only enough to be considered average by others. Indeed, we all need to improve our skills as cultivators. Lin Feng, considering your current strength, you can go anywhere to practice. I don't think anyone would stop you, said Han Man, shaking his head. He then recommended a distant place where there was an immense canyon. It was Yunhan sect's most famous place, Stormy Gorge. The Yunhai sect was surrounded by 8 extremely high mountain peaks. In the middle of the Yunhai sect's mountain peaks was the Stormy Gorge, which had a deepest point of a few hundred meters. It covered extremely vast area and was divided into several areas like an underground city. The gorge was vast and many different landscapes could be seen within. If you entered it, maybe you'd end up in the middle of a forest or possibly a desert oasis. Provided they didn't enter the gorge looking for people to fight, no matter what their level, the Yunhai sect would encourage its disciples to go and gather near-death experiences. Only the strongest of disciples would enter the Stormy Gorge. Being weak and still entering would just lead to certain death. Therefore Yunhai sect's disciples who hadn't at least reached the 8th qi layer wouldn't dare go to the Stormy Gorge. Besides, there was another place deep inside the stormy gorge called the life or death arena. Provided a disciple voluntarily set a foot into the life or death arena, they could fight to the death over a grudge, and if they accidentally got killed, the Yunhai sect would not get involved. While direct killing was not allowed here, once beaten within an inch of their life it was near impossible to return safely. Some people would even secretly kill wounded disciples as they attempted to return to the sect. If you had enough power, you could even publicly kill another disciple and the sect would turn a blind eye. The people who would enter the life or death arena had their family members or best friends killed and were unable to live without getting revenge. Of course I will go, said Lin Feng, looking towards the area where the stormy gorge was located. Observing a crowd of people on the horizon heading towards the gorge, his expression changed greatly as he remembered the past. If it had been when Lin Feng had only reached the 5th chi layer and people still could call him a piece of trash, he would have had no choice but to watch the fighting in the stormy gorge from a distance while avoiding all other disciples. This is of course how he was tricked. Special thanks to Gary R., Dean L. and Hiram P.T. for sponsoring this chapter. Special thanks to Gary R., Dean L. and Hiram P.T. for sponsoring this chapter. 3 days after returning, Lin Feng was sitting in his room meditating. He could sense the vital qi of heaven and earth much more clearly. A thin mist had appeared in the air of his room emanating a faint multicolored glow. Floating near Lin Feng's body was the illusory dark spirit, and it seemed to be absorbing the essence of the universe and combining itself with the universe's power. If Lin Feng had been able to see his spirit then he would have noticed that his dark spirit had become more defined and was taking on the shape of a human figure. At that moment, the vital qi of heaven and earth surrounding Lin Feng suddenly penetrated and flooded his whole body, rushing towards his dantian. His eyes opened, completely shocked at what had occurred, because an abnormal essence had penetrated into him and was circulating within his body. The vital qi which had invaded his body had caused him to break through to the 8th qi layer. I ate the 3 profound pills and finally reached the 8th qi layer. Lin Feng thought to himself with a smile. He was initially at the 7th qi layer but was not close to reaching an advancement anytime soon. There was still a large distance to cover on the path of cultivation to reach the 8th qi layer. 3 profound pills was the price for him to reach the next level, but it was worth it. Now if I battled with a cultivator of the 9th qi layer, I should be able to come up with a way to defeat them. When he was still at the 7th qi layer, his 9 heavy waves had the energy of 8,500 jin and roaring thunder could reach a destructive energy of 9,000 jin. However, against cultivators who had reached the 9th qi layer he would have had no chance and could at most delay his own death. Now he could confidently engage in a battle with them, knowing if he didn't win he could at least escape to fight again another day. With a deep breath and after patting down his robe, Lin Feng left his room. It was a beautiful autumn day and the sun was shining brightly above him. He had a pleasant feeling of warmness all around. Lowly trash, you finally made up your mind to die and crawled out from under your rock. Lin Feng's good mood was ruined by the voice he heard. Lin Heng. Lin Feng said while looking to his side. He saw Lin Heng 10 meters away from him with arms folded, arrogantly showing Lin Feng his back without fear. As a rule, Yunhai sect's disciples were not allowed to force their way into other disciples' rooms. Many disciples preferred to cultivate in their room, and being disturbed by others could have serious consequences on their cultivation. Therefore Lin Heng hadn't dared break the sect's rules to disturb Lin Feng in his room, and he had been waiting outside for 2 days. Turning around, Lin Heng stared coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Heng's eyes revealed his murderous intentions. It had been 3 days since Lin Heng had received a letter from his parents in which they said that Lin Feng, the piece of trash, had injured his little brother Lin Yun. They also said he had humiliated and insulted his father and little brother during the meeting of elders. Lin Heng had been planning a way to once again trick Lin Feng. Piece of trash, I heard that nearly dying gave you a small boost in strength. With your little power would you dare come to the stormy gorge and help me settle my grudge by killing you, said Lin Heng in a mocking tone. Lin Feng's face was calm, but inside he had a cold smile on his face. Last time he had been tricked by Lin Heng into going to the stormy gorge, he had been beaten to the brink of death. He hadn't killed him though, because the Yunhai sect had a rule which stipulated fellow disciples who entered the life or death arena were not allowed to directly kill each other. Many disciples would leave opponents with only an inch of life remaining. Many would die on their way to receive medical treatment, and the lucky ones would not die but be maimed for life. He had already killed the Lin Feng of this world using that method. At that time Lin Feng was nothing but trash, who was only at the 5th Qi layer, compared to Lin Heng who had reached the 8th Qi layer, who would have cared even if he outright killed the trash. The strong were the ones who dictated the rules here. The strong killed the weak, this was the law of this world. Any rule could be broken with enough strength, but the law of the world remained the same. My time for revenge has come so quickly, this must be fate, thought Lin Feng while smiling indifferently. Lin Heng had killed Lin Feng's in the past. Lin Feng was going to avenge his previous self. Lin Feng started walking towards the life or death arena. Trash, coward, you don't dare, said Lin Heng sarcastically, seeing that Lin Feng was ignoring him. Didn't you say we're going to the stormy gorge, said Lin Feng apathetically, leaving Lin Heng stupefied. A small and cruel smile appeared on Lin Heng's mouth. A piece of trash was always just a piece of trash. He barely survived with his luck and is stupid enough to fight me again. This time he would not give Lin Feng even a small chance to survive. Even though he wasn't going to kill Lin Feng in the stormy gorge, he would wait for him to come out injured and kill him in secret before he could receive medical treatment. In order to go to the stormy gorge, one had to travel down numerous steep cliffs. At the entrance to Stormy Gorge were iron chains hanging down the cliff face. If a cultivator was not strong enough to jump down, then he would use the chains to climb down. Considering Lin Feng's abilities, he was able to jump down the cliff, but he wasn't going to show his skills because if Lin Heng saw, Lin Heng would notice how strong Lin Feng was and would run away like a scared dog. He did not want to miss this rare opportunity and grabbed the iron chains to climb down. Trash will always be trash. You still need help to enter the stormy gorge, said Lin Heng with a mocking smile. Lin Heng looked down and jumped, soaring through the air like a rock. His movement skills made him so light that it seemed he could fly. As he was about to land, with a flip he smashed his feet deep into the earth beneath and came to an immediate halt. Incredible, who was that? Said the people who had just seen Lin Heng land. They couldn't help but gasp in admiration. I know him, it's Lin Heng who has reached the 8th Qi layer. He's extremely strong, said another disciple. Cultivators' vision and sense of hearing would become extremely developed as they transformed with each new level. Those disciples could see Lin Heng even though they were 100 meters above the gorge looking in. They had finally arrived at the life or death arena. There was no grass or trees, only a sand-covered landscape with large rocks piercing the surface of the sand like small mountains. Some Yunhai sect's disciples were passing by and couldn't help but stop and watch when they saw Lin Heng and Lin Feng. They wanted to see a fight which could be the end of another cultivator. Hee, I really wouldn't have thought that a piece of trash like you would dare come. Last time you nearly died, but today I will make sure you return in a coffin, said Lin Heng while laughing. His laugh was flippant and impudent. Lin Heng wanted to come to the stormy gorge and kill Lin Feng, but he never thought Lin Feng would agree a second time. You can always try if you have the ability, said Lin Feng, who felt saying any more would be wasted breath. A piece of trash like you dares say some insane things just because you defeated my little brother Lin Yun. I will show you today that a cultivator who has reached the 8th Qi layer has a strength which makes him capable of anything. Lin Feng, you are the same piece of trash as before. Lin Heng was moving towards Lin Feng while shouting these words. He tried to give Lin Feng a simple punch to the face. One punch would be enough to finish this battle, the beating would come after. Lin Feng lifted his hand to stop the punch with his palm. Lin Heng couldn't help but laugh coldly. That piece of trash had suddenly used the palm of his hand to stop his punch. Was that even possible? Let me break your hand. A brilliant white light from Lin Heng's hand and was pouring out of Lin Heng's fist. He wanted to use his fist to crush Lin Feng's palm beyond repair. Dream on, said Lin Feng calmly. A shockingly powerful strength came out of his palm. At that moment Lin Heng had the impression he was standing before an ocean of boundless powerful waves. The waves were overwhelmingly oppressive and violent. Not only had Lin Heng lost all his strength and arrogance, but at the same time the waves were crashing down onto his arms. His right hand had already started to swell and turn purple from the pressure. How is that possible? Said Lin Heng confused. He had the feeling that his hand was being crushed by a powerful invisible force. His entire body was being crushed and the extreme power of the waves was still increasing. He needed to escape quickly. You think you can run with your tail between your legs? Lin Feng's face was ice cold. The palm of his hand closely pressed against Lin Heng's fist. He was following Lin Heng, not allowing even the slightest increase in distance between them. Crack, a loud spine-chilling sound could be heard all around. Lin Heng felt an incomparable pain in his entire arm as if his bones were cracking and would explode at any moment. He wanted to pull his arm away but he couldn't, he wanted to run away but he couldn't. Lin Feng was overpowering him in both strength and speed. The gap between them was so great, this was simply a slaughter. They were so close to each other that Lin Heng could see every detail of Lin Feng's face clearly. Lin Feng's eyes were cold and a wicked grin was painted across his face. Lin Heng suddenly felt his knees go weak with fear. Was Lin Feng only toying with him? When had that piece of trash surpassed him? Lin Heng just wanted to give up and run away. How should I finish this? Said Lin Feng while laughing a bone-chilling laugh. Lin Feng's 9 heavy waves technique was crashing out violently, and Lin Heng was being crushed by the waves of which the power reached 9,500 jin. It felt like his entire arm was being crushed by a giant python. Crunch, blood sprayed out of his mouth as he hit the floor. A violent pain spread throughout his forearm and he could not bear such unimaginable pain. His bones had cracked and the muscles were torn beyond repair. You're my uncle's third son, you're my cousin, but your side of the family and Lin Ba Dao act secretly together to carry out such despicable deeds. You know nothing of love and affection, insulting and humiliating me over and over again. You even came here to murder me a second time. You are pitiless and heartless, so don't blame me for being merciless and cruel. Lin Feng was looking at Lin Heng on the ground as he said these very cold words. If someone wanted to take Lin Feng's life, his philosophy would be, a tooth for a tooth, no matter who the person was. No. I am your cousin, please spare me. Lin Heng could feel Lin Feng's ruthlessness all over his body. At that moment he could clearly feel the killing intent directed towards him. Lin Heng was terrified. When you tried to kill me, did we stop being cousins? Lin Feng said sharply, then bombarded Lin Heng's dantian with the 9 heavy waves technique. Suddenly Lin Heng gave a blood-curdling screech as his face became pale. I have crippled your cultivation. Now you can live your life being called trash, like you always did to me. Lin Feng said coldly, then turned around and left. Not far away, some cultivators who had reached the 8th Qi layer saw how ruthless Lin Feng had been in that battle. Lin Feng did not approach them, but they each hid away to avoid conflict. If they angered Lin Feng, would he also cripple their cultivation? They did not wish to find out, as a life with crippled cultivation was a life filled with suffering and agony. Lin Feng, you dared to cripple my cultivation. You will not get away with this, said Lin Heng maliciously while burning with rage. He was furious as he had become a piece of trash himself. He hated Lin Feng's father from the bottom of his heart. He regretted the whole situation, but he didn't want to wait for his revenge. He would immediately seek help from his cousin, a girl called Lin Qian who had already reached the Ling Qi layer and her spirit had awoken. In the Haoyu sect, she had already been recognized as a powerful disciple. Lin Qian knew that Lin Feng's father had hurt her father Lin Ba Dao during their last meeting. Lin Qian had already prepared to come to the Yunhai sect to kill Lin Feng herself. What a pity that he had tried to kill Lin Feng himself. Lin Heng hated everything. He hated himself for having failed, and he hated the future he would have with a crippled cultivation. He would make sure Lin Feng suffered a fate much worse than his own. Special thanks to Anonymous and Amp, Gary R for this sponsored chapter. I am going to start work on the next 3 chapters ahead of schedule in case of sponsored chapters today or during the week. Trouble is on the horizon in the next chapters, so I have a feeling I will need to be prepared to release extra when the action starts. Special thanks to Anonymous and Amp, Gary R for this sponsored chapter. I am going to start work on the next 3 chapters ahead of schedule in case of sponsored chapters today or during the week. Trouble is on the horizon in the next chapters, so I have a feeling I will need to be prepared to release extra when the action starts. In the city of Yangzhou was the Lin's family house. Lin Hai was sitting alone in one of the rooms, longingly staring at a portrait on the wall. It was the portrait of an extremely beautiful woman. Her eyes were a deep blue like a calm ocean. Shockingly, there was a ferocious beast which was wrapped around her shoulders. It looked like a snake, but that was not the impression it would give. It held its head high, looking down at everything as if an ancient god looking down at the insignificant creatures below. Its eyes from this portrait alone would burn deeply into your soul and leave a lasting impression. Meng He, it looks like little Lin Feng has finally become an adult. I see more of you inside him every day, and he even inherited your spirit. Maybe he doesn't know what this spirit means, but by the time his spirit awakens, he will see how great a gift his mother has given him. The day will come when that useless snake spirit will shake the world. Our son was never trash, he always had the potential for true greatness hidden inside of him. Lin Hai, standing in front of the portrait, murmured to himself with an expression full of love and also a strange sadness. They all think that I have lost my memory, but I could never forget you in my lifetime. When Lin Feng's spirit awakens, I will tell him everything. Soon he will enter the empire and follow his destined path. Lin Hai's eyes showed a strong emotion welling up inside him. He once had doubts that his son would ever be able to awaken the spirit. His son was not ordinary, and now he could finally see him unlocking the potential which lay hidden inside his body. Lin Hai was convinced Lin Feng's spirit would awaken shortly. Lin Feng naturally didn't know the secret hidden by his parents. He had no memories of his mother. Lin Hai had never told Lin Feng anything about his snake spirit. Lin Feng had crippled Lin Heng's cultivation, which made him feel relieved, as if a weight in his heart had been lifted. It meant that the last of old Lin Feng's regrets before his death had vanished. He had finally gotten his revenge. Lin Feng wasn't going to leave immediately when he could practice and gain some more experience in the Stormy Gorge. Every person that came into the Stormy Gorge did it with the sole purpose of fighting to become stronger. Even if he didn't take the initiative to go and provoke others, he was convinced others would come to fight him. "It's you," said a cold and detached voice. Lin Feng looked around looking for the voice and saw a beautiful female body. Every curve seemed to be imprinted in his memories. Even though he couldn't see the face, the silhouette was enchanting. Lin Feng had some doubts as the girl was wearing a mask to hide her identity. He didn't know many people in the Yunhai sect. He knew Han Man, Qing Yi as well as Jing Yun. That person obviously couldn't be any of them. Could it be someone he knew as the old Lin Feng? Lin Feng was confused. "Last time we met you ran away at such speed that even I couldn't follow. Shall we test how good your escape skills are now we are out in the open with nowhere to run?" said the girl in front of him, laughing coldly. The girl took an arrow from her quiver and grabbed the bow which was strapped on her back. Lin Feng immediately knew why he had recognized her. He remembered everything. She was Lu Fei, the girl from the hot spring in the mountains. Lin Feng firmly remembered her name because Lu Fei's arrow filled with killing intent had nearly ended his life on their last encounter. She was not going to give him a chance to escape. She knew he was hiding his power before, so she immediately used her spirit. Lin Feng could feel that her spirit was targeting him and he was slowly being locked as its target. The bow is the weapon of choice for long-range fighters, however the bow has no ability in close-quarters combat. If I close the distance between us it will be harder for her weapon to show its true potential, thought Lin Feng. He had absolutely no hesitation and dashed towards Lu Fei with a shocking speed. You really want to face me in close combat, said Lu Fei laughing sarcastically. She pulled the arrow and in an instant it shot from the bow. The arrow created an incredible pressure accompanied with a hissing sound. The bowstring was still shaking with a buzzing sound. Clang! Lin Feng unsheathed the sword from his back. 9 heavy waves. Roaring thunder. 9 heavy waves was pouring out from Lin Feng's left hand and shooting outwards. The power of the arrow weakened with each wave that it collided with. Then, as the combined power of 9 heavy waves and roaring thunder struck, the arrow lifelessly cracked in two and fell onto the ground. Moonlight feather agility. His body didn't stop for even a fraction of a second. He kept moving closer while using his 9 heavy waves technique to disrupt the air around him. His moonlight feather agility technique was extremely smooth, as if he had already used it 1,000,000 times before. Lu Fei did not only have a beautiful face but she also had a powerful combat strength. She was the 8th on the list of disciple rankings. She knew Lin Feng wanted to close the distance, so she had jumped back immediately after having shot her arrow. She was an expert at fighting with a bow and she had clearly learnt some excellent movement skills. By the time Lin Feng had broken the first arrow into 2, her hand was already charging her bow with tremendous amounts of qi, but this time, with 3 arrows knocked in place. Goodbye, said Lin Feng, who was running at an incredible speed. He then suddenly changed destination and jumped towards a small grove of trees. Lu Fei's movement technique was extremely profound. Lin Feng's technique, however, was only a hair better than Lu Fei's technique. Even though he could get close, it required time. During this short time it was enough for Lu Fei to shoot a few arrows. She had just attempted to shoot 3 arrows at once, and with 3 arrows shot from her bow, Lin Feng could feel the immediate threat to his life. Which is why the moment Lin Feng saw that she was putting 3 arrows into her bow, he had quickly changed his plan and decided to escape from sight. That was the best way to hinder Lu Fei's fighting strategy. Also, when fighting on an open area, the distance between them was vast. However, in this grove of trees she would need a line of sight to target him. Lu Fei, using her arrow spirit, was definitely able to bring out her maximum fighting potential on an open plain. Looks like I have underestimated the power of a cultivator who has reached the 9th qi layer. It's not that easy to fight against and win, Lin Feng thought, feeling gloomy. He hadn't known that Lu Fei had reached the 9th qi layer, which was the highest qi layer before advancement. She was already able to control her arrow spirit and her bow harmoniously using her qi. Her long-range power was a nightmarish. His previous thoughts of fighting with 9th qi layer disciples and easily winning were immediately extinguished. But Lin Feng didn't get discouraged. He was convinced that if he managed to make Lu Fei enter the grove of trees, then the victory would be his. Humph, laughed Lu Fei ironically behind him. She started pulling on the bowstring, which emitted a powerful pressure as it was pulled back farther and farther. An intense and dreadful sensation spread throughout his body. Lin Feng understood Lu Fei was about to shoot and his body was warning him of the danger. Lin Feng held his sword tightly in his hand. He needed only 2 breaths to reach the grove of trees and he would be safe. Where are you running? Said Lu Fei in a slightly panicked tone. A sword had suddenly come into vision, which shocked Lin Feng. He could sense that he was in great danger. He was dashing forward with all his strength when suddenly he stopped and then jumped back. Boom! Broken earth flew all around. There was an explosion in front of Lin Feng and an extremely deep sword mark had appeared, leaving a crater in the ground. If Lin Feng had continued to walk towards the grove and been even a second late, then that sword would have cut Lin Feng's body apart. Lin Feng's expression changed as he saw a man in the grove that was wearing white robes and holding a long sword in his hand. A moment ago it had been his sword which had created the mark in the ground. Lu Fei, how has that bug offended you? Do you want me to help you kill this bug? The disciple standing in the grove was disdainfully looking at Lin Feng and appeared to be someone who thought very highly of themselves. In his eyes, Lin Feng was an ant and he would kill him without hesitation. Lu Fei just had to nod and give him the signal to act. He would kill Lin Feng immediately if she asked him to do so. Even if the sect prohibited killing fellow disciples directly, there would be no reason for them to punish him because he had a high status above those bugs, making him untouchable. One of the sect's elite disciples, Lin Feng, saw the badge on the man's clothes. Lin Feng was trembling with fear and felt like time itself had frozen. If Lu Fei asked him to attack Lin Feng, then he would do it. Lin Feng would need to dodge at his highest speed or he would be beheaded immediately. Yu Hao, stop interfering with other people's business. Lu Fei said, but she hadn't shot her arrow. It is not that she was showing mercy to Lin Feng or had forgiven him, it was only because Yu Hao was courting her, but she had absolutely no interest in him. So she hadn't asked him for help, because she didn't want to owe anything to Yu Hao, and using this moment to kill Lin Feng would indebt her to Yu Hao. She recalled her spirit back into her body and put her bow back onto her back. She said to Lin Feng, consider yourself lucky this time, next time the best thing you can do is not to run into me, otherwise you will not be as lucky as today. When she finished talking, she turned around and walked into the distance. Lu Fei, why do you always leave immediately? Said Yu Hao, shaking his head, then immediately shot into the distance, not even giving a look at Lin Feng. Boom! Another explosion sound rung out in front of Lin Feng and a very deep sword mark was left in the ground. Consider yourself a lucky bug, next time I see you provoking Lu Fei, I will have to crush you, said Yu Hao, whose voice came from a distant place. Lin Feng was still standing in the same place, not moving in the slightest. Even though the sword had caused an explosion of power in front of him, he for some reason was not scared. Lu Fei thought she was extremely strong, and because Lin Feng dared to come into the hot spring where she trains to provoke her, she wanted to kill him. Yu Hao was an elite disciple and his strength was extremely powerful. He had no reason or malice towards Lin Feng, but was also about to kill him without speaking a word to him. Lin Feng had been in this world for a short time, but Lin Feng had understood and learnt from experience in what it meant to be strong, to be respected, to be ruthless. Yu Hao, when I reach the Ling Qi layer, you will look into this bug's eyes as I take the sword from your hand and then drive it into your heart. Lin Feng saw the extremely deep marks left by the sword in the ground, and a ray of light flashed through his mind, right after he turned around and left the place. He was convinced that someday his hard work and innate gifts would make him strong enough to take his revenge, and he believed that day would not be far away.